tonight on the Black Channel. Tonight's program is a special reminder. I want to say something. I'm not the young man that I was when I first started doing this almost 2 decades ago, when I first came to you all almost 2 decades ago. You didn't know me. I didn't know you. I just knew what our purpose was. And the society, the media, the political structure, everyone was united around a single goal: to convince all of us that the only mission that we had in life was to forget the past, settle in, assimilate, and just try to do the best we could in this system of white supremacy. That was what they told us. But you see, we were unwilling to submit to a world of injustice, and we set out to resurrect the past, because the past wasn't the past. It wasn't the past then. It isn't the past now. We started going further than anybody else. You see, some people had mentioned events like the Tulsa Race Massacre, events, places like the Black Wall Street. Everyone talked about Tulsa, Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, the Gap Band. Tom Joyner had mentioned all of this. But you see, there were parts and pieces that were missing. You don't have the story if you say the Black Wall Street. You only have the story when you know it is the Black Wall Streets, plural. That's when you realize that this was not an isolated incident. When you realize that there was way more than just one Black Wall Street, you realize it wasn't just that we rose up in just one place. It wasn't just black excellence in one place. This was not an isolated incident. Now, when you realize that, when that gets clarified to you, now you're starting to get the whole story. Now you realize the magnitude of it. And that changes you. There's the critical key difference. You see, once you realize the real, true magnitude of the situation, it changes you. You can't be given all the details about all these events and all these places in its proper context and how it is directly connected to you and did not change you. The first thing that you realize is that their story isn't their story. Their story is your story. And when I look at the majesty of a Mary McLeod Bethune, of a Ida B. Wells, when I take a look into the face of a Harriet Tubman, I see Viola Fletcher. And so do you. Isn't it amazing that at a certain point when we look at them, they all conjure in us the same feeling, the same image. You start to see, and they're identical. You start to see in their faces the exact same DNA of resistance. And that's when you realize this ain't something we just started in the last 5 years, the last 5 decades. This is who we have always been. And when you look at her face, you see the exact same face of resistance that you've seen in the iconic picture of Harriet Tubman. The exact same one. That's why they have to erase our history. You've got to erase that. You can't allow the great-grandchildren to see this. Because when they see this, they will see themselves. When they see themselves, the bloodline of resistance is going to reignite. Which is exactly what it did. You see, we took it further than anybody else. We started digging into it. You see, when it was on Tom Joyner's show, that was to entertain you. Some trivia question for quote unquote Black History Month. But never forget, and this is why I'm talking to you all tonight, never forget that these people did not pick up the baton. They didn't organize anybody. Oh, I'm going there. I'm going there. They didn't organize anybody. They did not organize anyone. That's not what they did. They had the opportunity to do that, and they didn't do so. They had the opportunity to do that, and they didn't do so. They did not organize people. Tom Joyner organized a cruise. Tom Joyner had no problem organizing as many black folk as you wanted for a cruise. But he did not organize people. He did not organize people to actually act on these things. He didn't organize people to act on any of these things. Did you notice that? Did you notice that? Now, if you got a national radio program and you got reach, you would have figured that with all that time, you would have made a priority of that. You would have made a priority of that, wouldn't you? You would have made a priority of that. But they didn't do that. Now, if they had done that, do you realize how much that would have changed things? Why did we have to come along and do anything? Why did we have to come along and do anything? Because the old dead black media, they use our causes. They use our causes and capitalize on them. They saw these were our causes, and then they are sitting up here telling folks, well, yeah, well, we need to remember this. But they never organized anyone for anything. They didn't organize anybody to take action because Tom Joyner is a pet and a puppet, or at least he was, of the Democrat Party and that little group of ass-kissing flunkies around him. None of them ever organized the people. Oh, they organized the people to bull jive and play around and to sell tickets for themselves. They organized the people for a profit center. They organized the people for a profit center. That tells you what their mission was. The only thing that they were concerned about is themselves. That's their purpose. That's what I'm reminding you of. You see, we had to come along here and we had to do something because they didn't do anything. That's the problem. They spent decades milking these things, and then they tell you, thank you for tuning in to Tom Joyner today. Don't forget your tickets to the Tom Joyner cruise. That went on for years, people. Decades. No, and the only thing that they ever demanded was that you make sure that Walmart gives him an advertising contract. Meanwhile, what about the subject matter you were talking about? What about that? So they were using and exploiting our experiences in this system for their own profit, and then handing that off to their political masters. So we didn't have anybody to promote the message. We didn't have that. It was, 15 years later before the new black media made its humble debut. And please remember, during all that time, none of the old dead black media was galvanizing the people for these things. Jason, why are you banging the drum on this? I want to let you all know something. Mother Viola Fletcher, and they're calling her mother now, and rightfully so. Mother Viola Fletcher, do you understand something here, folks? 30 years ago, she was 81 years old. "30 years ago, she was 81 years old. She's 111 now. Where were any of these bastards to speak up then? When she was 81, when she was 71, where were they? Where were they? That's the part that they don't want us having a retrospective about, to ask those questions that, by the way, hey, Tom Coonan Joyner and Roland Buck Dancing Martin and Tavis Suck Up Smiley, by the way, where the hell were you all when you had national radio? They had national radio, national exposure. Tom Joyner was on 60 Minutes and every damn thing else. Where were they? Not for years, people, for decades. Where were they? Because if you and me were talking about this almost 20 years ago, where in the hell were they the decade before us? It didn't suddenly become an issue when we came along. We just finally had a national platform to be of some type of communication apparatus to be able to talk about it. These other folks, where the hell were they? See, they don't want us to ask these questions and start this conversation. There's a reason these old bastards cannot show their faces. Probably the chief villain desecrating the memory of Mother Viola Fletcher was none other than the mulatto monster Barack butt-kissing, butt-dancing Hussein Obama, who had the sheer unmitigated vomit-inducing gall of mentioning her name, a woman that he did nothing, not a damn thing for when she was alive. He never mentioned her, never supported her, not once. And then, because this is what these absolutely putrid, disgusting Democrat bastards do. When something noteworthy happens, oh, I mentioned her when she died, it's just, we got to keep pushing zones. And this lowlife had the nerve to mention her. Where was this when she was alive? Let me explain something to you all right now. Let me put this in its proper context for you, because you see, the butt-dancing baby boomers, they're not going to put this in its proper context. There are things you just can't lie about. See, there are things you just can't lie about. There are certain things that you're not able to lie about, because you see, when you start saying what I'm saying right now you have to start asking questions. Now you have to start asking questions. And these are questions that Obama does not want you to ask, and we don't want you asking that, because you see that's problematic. That's problematic if you do that. They don't want you asking the kind of questions that we ask here, because then you're going to start coming to different conclusions and saying, you know what? Yeah, I do have some different questions to ask you here. Oh, buck dancing Obama. For example, I want you all to remember something. There are things you can't lie about here. You see, Barack Obama, while Mother Viola Fletcher was alive, while he was seeing to important things. See, Barack Obama can make an in-person appearance for his scumbag ass monument to himself. He can make a public appearance for that. When that case went to court in Oklahoma, could you all imagine what would have happened? How the momentum of national attention could have swung if Barack Obama had been able to tear himself away from Epstein Island long enough. Him and that cosplaying negress he's married to. Oh, yes, I said it. Could you imagine what would have occurred had Barack Obama and the presidential motorcade shown up in Oklahoma when they took this case to court? Could you imagine what would have happened had he shown up and walked into the courthouse and said that he was there to support Viola Fletcher and the victims of the Tulsa Race Massacre, could you have imagined what the optics of that would have been like? Had everyone known that he was there? Donald Trump supported Daniel Penny. He supports white supremacist murderers and killers. Barack Obama hadn't lifted a finger for black victims. If you want to talk about Viola Fletcher today, where the hell was your raggedy alley cat looking ass when she was alive and her people were in court? Can you imagine what the optics of that would have been like? Can you imagine what the optics of that would have been like? To show him standing in solidarity with the victims of that massacre. Could you imagine that? I want to remind you all that it was a bunch of these old niggas. It's been a minute since I could pull that one on out, but you knew it was coming. These old niggas were sitting up here telling us 20 years ago that Barack Obama, well, he can't do nothing for us while he's in office, but just you wait. He's gonna do something after he's in office. Y'all remember the ADHD 4 milligram Ritalin taking Negroes who used to say that? They, for those of you who are too young to remember, yeah, there were a bunch of old niggas when Obama was in office and we were letting them know, hey, he's not doing nothing for us. The old niggas told us, well, he can't do nothing in his first term. He needs to get reelected and then he gonna do something. And then he got reelected and he didn't do anything. Well, don't worry. He gonna do something after he leaves office. No, they were really saying that. They were really telling us that we needed to leave him alone and he was gonna do something after he left office. You have to understand, to a boot-licking, ass-kissing generation like the civil rights generation, pathological liars get so used to lying that they just lie to themselves. Well, do y'all notice you can't find a single one of them deadbeat old niggas today to stand up for that line? Oh, they're still out there, don't get me wrong. None of them will stand up for it today. They won't stand up for it. Yeah, because all these years now, you can't lie anymore. There's no reason he couldn't have shown up in Tulsa. No reason he couldn't have shown up in Oklahoma. No reason and no excuse. So none of them want to have to defend this anymore. They've been clowned now for a decade, and that was why we had to rise to prominence. We had to rise to power so that they would not be allowed to sit up here and mislead and abuse the people anymore. But don't forget, that's what they were telling us. You see, you can't argue with the logic of what I just said. There's no reason Barack Obama, he has no problem showing up at the construction of his Tower of Babel to himself. Why didn't he make a stop when they were in court here last year or so? Why didn't he make a stop then? Why didn't he? He's shown up for the LGBT and everything else, but not for this. Not for this. That's the issue. But I have to remind you all, it wasn't just Barack Obama. You didn't see any of the Democrats doing it either. Now, did you? Not a one of them. Not a single one. Jimmy Carter can show up to build houses for Habitat for Humanity, and not a single one of the Democrats, none of them, nobody showed up for this. None. Not anybody who was in office, not anybody who is in office. None. They didn't show up. They didn't mention it. They didn't do anything. People, it doesn't take an active Congress. There is no fear of a presidential veto. Showing up and representing the people in the streets, there is nothing in the world that is stopping you from doing that, except you do not want to. There is nothing preventing you from doing that as an elected representative unless you just don't want to do it. And none of those worthless bastards did. Not even one. None. They didn't mention it. They didn't support it. They didn't do anything. But then again, that's what they have always done. When I remind you about Carolyn Bryant, once again, the Democrats, real quiet. They're hoping that nobody remembers and nobody will mention it and nobody will make an issue of it. The question falls to us now, why? Why did this happen? Why was this significant? We're going to answer that. But before we do, I need to remind you all that some of you got to understand, some of you got too much of that hoe generation in you. Oh, I said it. A number of you got too much of that hoe generation in you. And so when we talk about these issues, you start fighting in your mind to sit up here and justify it and defend it. And you start arguing and counter arguing against yourself. You start making excuses for why they don't do nothing, why they can't even do just the basic what their name says, representative. They're not even representing. They won't even make a public appearance. They'll show up at football games, baseball games, hockey games, golf games. Yeah, every damn day is a vacation. But where your survival's concerned, oh, he ain't got time to do that. He doesn't have the ability to do that. But then you take a look across the aisle at a Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump didn't talk about it. He just got up and did it. You see, Mother Viola Fletcher became the symbol of reparations in our era. She took away all the excuses for not giving reparations, all the excuses that they gave us for why we couldn't get reparations. This woman lived long enough. The universe touched her so that she would live long enough to prove the lie to every reparations denier on the planet. All the excuses that they said didn't apply to the rest of us, all of them applied to her. And all the reparations deniers had to just finally take the robes off, take the Klan robes off, and tell the truth. If you did not support her, then now you're having to expose yourself, and she lived long enough to make sure that we never have to raise that subject again. You see, Mother Viola Fletcher just became our eternal validation for the reparations movement. She is our eternal validation. The fact that you denied her while she was alive, that now has been passed on to everybody. So you cannot use the, well, only survivors can get reparations argument. You can't use that one anymore. And as a result, you have now transferred it to all of us. But that is because the civil rights generation loved betrayal, and they loved traitors in their midst. They developed a taste and a flavor for that. But meanwhile, over on the other side of the aisle, there were other folks out there, and they got a whole different way of doing things. You see, I need to remind you all that when it comes to reparations in the white supremacist system, and just one thing here, they don't talk about it, they'll be about it. I'm reminding you all that, how many of y'all remember this? How many of you remember that this happened? Oh, you forgot. So much has happened. So much has happened that, oh, you forgot about this. One of Donald Trump's first official acts in office oh, man. Well, one of the first things he did was get to work on the January 6 rioters and a treasonous, seditionist insurrectionist, a violent, rioting insurrectionist, Ashley Babbitt. And Donald Trump sat up here and said, we're going to compensate her for launching an attack against the American government. Do you think at this point I've got any ear for any excuses from the so-called Democrats or anybody who wants to cozy up to us? If Trump can do this, then what in the hell is your excuse for not supporting Viola Fletcher? It is because Barack Obama and Donald Trump are the same. The political theater is for the purposes of distracting the masses. That's what the political theater is for. It's for the purposes of distracting the masses, but it is not for the purposes of serving. Donald Trump and Barack Obama see black people the exact same way. This is something we're not supposed to talk about because, you see, that's the playbook that the Democrats have, is to try to recycle another Obama. Kamala Harris went down in flames, showing them that the playbook doesn't work. It worked with the civil rights generation. It died with Generation X, and it'll remain buried under the millennials and going forward. However, you'd also be remiss if you did not put in its proper context why. Why did the Tulsa Race Massacre and all of the others happen? These were black towns, they were segregated, and yet they were self-sufficient. all the things that white supremacists like Jared Taylor claimed that they really wanted. And why is that? Why is it that you had a segregated group of black people in Tulsa, in Florida, in Wilmington, and across the nation? Why is it that you had place after place where after antebellum slavery, black folk were isolated and were rebuilding themselves? They were not harming or harassing the white society in any way, and white society invaded them time after time after time. Why is that? Because they understood from the very beginning that we could outcompete them. I've taught you now for decades. Clowns tried to tell you all that the root of white supremacy's power is its politics or its education or its ideology or its religion. Fools and clowns, all of them. I told you what it was decades ago. The root of white supremacy's power is its economy. They can walk away from everything else. The economy, they cannot walk away from. They cannot walk away from. That's the issue. When they saw us establishing economic stability for ourselves, remember people, when you have economic stability, you call the shots within your community. When you don't have economic stability, you get dictated to by other people. They hate you because you're black, but they're able to victimize you because you're poor. That's the point. They hate you because you are black, but they are able to victimize you because you are poor. If they can keep you poor and destitute, then they keep you in a state of quasi-slavery. These folks understood we were the ones running the country. The only thing we didn't have was access to the economic base. If they have access to the economic base, then that's when the servants become the masters. We already had the technical know-how. We already had the mechanical know-how. We already had the agricultural know-how. And to this day, whether it is the black farmers or the black industrialists, what do they make sure to deny everybody? Access to proper capital. To this very day, both the so-called government and the private banking system, you can't make anything happen without money, and both of them have agreed, don't give anything to them Negroes. Make sure they're locked out. That is policy. That is policy. When you go from sea to shining sea, and no matter where you go, you get treated the same everywhere you go. That's not coincidence, people. That is policy. If you are on a college campus and everyone tells you what the rule is everywhere you go, that's not accidental. You just encountered a policy. And their policy is, remember, do not empower the Negroes. They are the only legitimate threat. They are the ones who, even in a state of quasi-slavery, they built the economy, they built the culture, they've built America's biggest export, its culture. Can you imagine what they would do if they actually had control of finances? Oh, hell no. You cannot allow that to happen. At that moment, it is game over. They will begin dictating what happens by their rules. And And so it became the policy of the American social order. Whenever you see black people establishing economic independence, you got to go shut that down. Do it legally or illegally. Do it bureaucratically or militarily. However you got to do it, get it done. Do not allow them to sit there and create generational wealth. You have to destroy generational wealth among those people every time you identify it, anywhere you locate it. It must be eradicated. Do not allow them to pass anything on. And that is their policy. And you see it continue to this very day. In the internet era, Joe Rogan can get $100 million. Random white chick, call me daddy, $100 million. They're not giving these folk a fair amount of money, people. They're giving them outrageously disproportionate amounts of money. Outrageously disproportionate. They're not generating anything near that amount of value. But that's not the reason it's being given to them. It's being given to them so that they will be allowed to maintain it. Just like I explained to you last night with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Governor Brian Kemp, they have to be empowered. White supremacy has to pay for control. You can't have control if you don't finance it, and you got to pay for that. You got to pay for that. So we have over a century now of them blatantly targeting black economics. Black economics doesn't fail. Black economics is targeted. Need I remind you, we go the 720 degrees of analysis you'll receive absolutely nowhere else. Need I remind you all that all of your so-called big companies today, all of them got where they are by breaking the law. The law only gets enforced against you. All the rest of these people, the law doesn't get enforced against them. They are allowed to operate outside the law. Whether it is your alcohol beverage companies, your cigarette companies, or Uber, or Lyft, or Airbnb, or Facebook. People, do you realize how many quote unquote government sanctions they keep finding Facebook? It's not Facebook doing it. It's Mark Zuckerberg. He's the one doing it. And yet they fine quote unquote the company. They bring charges against quote unquote the company. But when they show up on your doorstep, on me with a Hellcat, they didn't go after his company. They came and arrested him. Now, when Mark Zuckerberg violates criminal laws, they don't come and arrest Mark Zuckerberg. They give Zuckerberg's company a fine. When they show up to you, you're going to jail. Yeah, we're not taking action against your company. I mean, we're going to take action against your company too. But we don't come after your company. We're coming after you. Why are you not going after AT&T? People, General Motors has killed people. So has Ford. Why are they still allowed to operate? Remember the Ford Explorer and the rolling over with the tires. Why are they still allowed to operate? General Motors and the Mary Barra, who is still the CEO of General Motors today. General Motors and the key ignition fires that happened. Why are they still allowed to operate today? If that were you, you wouldn't be paying a fine. If that were you, they would have you in criminal court. They'd have handcuffs on you. You couldn't sit there and say, hey, that's not me, that's the company. They would come and get you. People, these are crimes. These are illegalities, and all of these companies in white society, their companies are allowed to operate with impunity from the law. Listen to me carefully. Their impunity is policy. People, their impunity is policy. I'm not saying that it's the feds who ignored them. They have immunity and impunity at the federal level, the state level, and the city level. When Airbnb kicked off with their non-legal hotel operation, they didn't get any action taken against them, not at the federal level, violating interstate commerce laws, not at the state level, not at the city level. All of a sudden, the red tape and rules and regulations, all of a sudden, nobody had a word to say about red tape and regulations. All of a sudden, nobody had anything to say about red tape and regulations all of a sudden. Isn't that curious? Oh, Airbnb. Well, next up, Uber. Why, Uber didn't just ignore the law. Now, folks, we covered this before. Uber set up a computer program, Grayball, in order to evade the law. Now, remember, when it comes to taxes, it is illegal to evade taxes. It is legal to avoid taxes, but it is not legal to evade taxes. So it is legal to use every loophole in the book to avoid taxes, but you cannot do things that are dishonest or are not forthcoming in order to not pay taxes. You can't misrepresent anything. Uber set up a program, Grayball, in order to sit up here and detect where police might be, where regulators might be, and to avoid the app showing up in those areas. That was evasion. That was evasion of the law. And nobody went after Travis Kalanick for that. He wound up getting kicked out for sexual harassment of females at the company. They let him violate the law for years. And even when they found out about Grayball, nobody has prosecuted him for that. Nobody has gone after him or his company for that. Now, you try setting up a computer program like that and then tell them, oh, well, too bad. I'm rolling like Travis Kalanick. They're going to say, yeah, nigga, you ain't got the complexion for the protection. Get your ass in this paddy wagon. When you have companies that reach valuations of billions of dollars operating with impunity, ignoring the law down the line, that's not an accident. That is policy. The policy is there are no rules for white men. They get to operate however they wish. There will only be rules for you. When you show up, all of a sudden, here's the rule book. All of a sudden, wait, there's a regulation. To which you're like, wait a minute, where was that regulation for Airbnb, Uber, Facebook, Lyft? Where was that regulation for them? You see, people, when you prevent folks from having generational wealth, you get to make up your own rules when you have generational wealth. Well, it's true. Jeffrey Epstein is your proof of that. If you have enough money, there are no laws for you. If you have enough money, there aren't really any laws for you. Folks can't really gang up on you because when they say you're connected, they mean you're financially connected. You see, if you got generational wealth, When some bum-ass politician, Trojan horse, gets trotted into town by some political party, you got the ability to advertise, you got the ability to canvass neighborhoods, you got the ability to get the word out, and you don't have to get thousands of people to help you. Elon Musk became a one-man political movement by his damn self in 2024. Elon Musk became a one-man political movement. Just him. He didn't have to, he was a one-man political action committee. And it worked. One more thing. And it worked. I bought a couple of billboards in Atlanta. Out goes Keisha Bottoms. Bought a couple of billboards in Chicago. Out goes Lori Lightfoot. Bought a billboard in New York. Out goes Andrew Cuomo. They don't want us to have the ability to set up satellites in different places. You can have one person who can do just enough to let everybody know, hey, this ain't right. We need to go in a different direction. I need you all to understand they are not afraid that we are going to amass billions of dollars. Folks, they're scared that we could amass thousands. They're scared that we could amass hundreds of thousands. Their goal is not to keep you from being wealthy. Their goal is to keep you in abject poverty so that there is 0% chance that you are any threat whatsoever to challenge the established order. You see, when you got generational wealth, you don't have to depend on school systems and colleges to get the word out. You set up your own organizations. You set up your own organizations, your own groups in your interest. And because you're paying for it, nobody can influence you. Nobody can infiltrate. Because you control the economics, no one can infiltrate you. Jewish people learn this very well. There's a reason why you have so many Jewish organizations, and the first thing they do is pass the hat. They get out there and whatnot, and then you have a Larry Ellison, then you have a Bill Ackman, then you have all the rest of them, a Mark Zuckerberg, and they make sure everything gets properly funded. They're not financially dependent on anybody, so they can tell their people what they need to tell them. They can mobilize like they need to mobilize. You can't deplatform them. You can't segregate them. You can't silence them, and you can't stop them. That's what happens when you've got access to generational wealth. Oh yeah, and when you're allowed to break all the rules, those two things put together, generational wealth with no rules. And take a look at what we have done with them putting not just rules on us, but them executing rules that don't even exist on us. And still we've excelled so much. They're like, damn it, the only thing keeping us away from Armageddon is them Negroes being poor. You gotta make sure they stay that way. They can't ever gain a real, reasonable financial foothold. That can't be allowed to happen. So what they do is they handpick boot-licking, ass-kissing Negroes, and those are the ones that they elevate. An Oprah Winfrey, a Tyler Perry, a Bill Cosby, I said it. Individuals that he's no threat. He just wants to go buy a bunch of fancy cars and lay on top of a bunch of white women or white men. But Oprah's no threat. Tyler's no threat. Yeah, you can elevate. Okay, you can let them through. They're no threat. They're not looking to disrupt anything. They just want to improve their position in the system of white supremacy, not tear it down. They're not looking to tear it. They're not looking to disrupt anything. So when you get a Jermaine Dupri or a D.L. Huckster Hughley, or a Steve Harvey. Yeah, the same pattern repeats itself with black folks scratching their heads. It's like, wait a minute. Now, I know all these niggas got paid. I'm talking about Fantasy Island money compared to the rest of us, and ain't nothing changing? How the hell can it be that these people got their hands on, I'm talking about Twilight Zone money, and ain't nothing changing? How can you have your hands on that much capital and nothing's changing? Well, that's because these are hand-picked niggas. Their goal is not to disrupt the order. They were chosen specifically because they will not disrupt the order. They didn't grab Oprah Winfrey because they didn't know who she was. She was selected because they knew exactly what she was. Van Jones was not given $100 million because they didn't know what he was. He was given that because they know exactly who he is. And so you see, the only other option then is for us to exercise in when. Don't look for your sports people. Y'all gave up on them decades ago, and rightfully so. The sports people are summarily worthless because they are nothing but employees. But more than that, they are not just employees, people. Your folks in sports, they have been indoctrinated. They were selected at the high school level. As long as they're not talking any pro-black stuff, they'll be allowed to stay on the football team. Think about that for a few moments, folks. You can't get drafted in college if you weren't playing in high school. You at these high schools, at these Confederate schools in Mississippi and Louisiana and Georgia. But then again, the Confederacy is south of the Canadian border. But in any case, okay, you in high school talking that pro-black stuff. Oh, you get kicked off the team early. Many of you witnessed this and lived it. So no wonder they filter them out in high school. And if one of you does break through and gets to college, they filter you out in college. So by the time the pros show up, it's all the coons. It's nothing but a bunch of coons and a bunch of desperate individuals looking to kiss ass and bow down. So they don't have to brainwash them. They've already filtered them out, and they've already been subtly indoctrinated. Hey, your ass better just shut up and play. You better shut the hell up and just play. That's not an accident. So by the time they get to the pros, when it's time to hand out the money, man, they ain't looking to make no trouble. They've been waiting years and years to finally get paid. They just ready to run to the bank and cash the check. They're not looking to make no trouble. It is not an accident that they have no problem giving these guys $100 million contracts, because they know that he is not going to turn that financial ammunition against the system. He's not going to do that. That won't be happening. It shouldn't surprise you. Oh, I'm going to say this. When you see a Curtis Jackson, and every time you turn around, you're hearing about, oh, this person made $50 million or $100 million from, I didn't know they had stock in vitamin water or something else. Man, y'all can kiss my ass with all that nonsense. They're not fooling me. You know, when the damn fix is in, what the hell did they do with it? They didn't do nothing. People, you don't need $100 billion to make nothing major crack off. If you got $150 million and I don't see major things happening, that's not an accident. 50 Cent is here in my city, Shreveport, Louisiana. He's doing everything for himself. Everything he's doing is for him. He's not working with anybody. It's just, he's like, okay, I'm the richest person here. Let me go ahead and take over. They're not doing nothing with anybody else. But then again, it's the same anywhere you go. They didn't give him $100 million because they thought he was going to change the status quo. They gave it to him because they knew he was going to reinforce the status quo. That is what it always is. So when you see somebody who gets a big ass check from the system doesn't cut $100 million checks because you're a threat. If the system is giving you Joe Rogan money, it's because you gonna do what Joe Rogan does. The system is not gonna cut you $100 million check because you're gonna do something different from Joe Rogan. They're gonna cut you $100 million check because they're confident you gonna do the same thing Joe doing. And if it looks like you gonna do something you shouldn't, now your ass ends up in court with some chick suing you, and then the judge like, okay, we need to get about 10, 20 million of them things. We need to get 10, 20 million of them things. So the only thing that's going to change, people, is you and me and us and we at the grassroots level. We are the only chance we got. We are the only ones who can make a difference. We're the only ones who can do it. That's it, folks. It's not going to come from the elevated Negroes at the top who got bought off by the system to be the system's well-paid entertainers and slaves. If it's going to happen, people, it's going to happen from you and me. We have to be the ingenious ones. We have to be the creative ones. We have to be the innovative ones. We have to be the ones who get it together. You need to find 2 other black folk to cooperate with. Y'all are blood brothers or blood sisters. You are on code. It's going to have to come from you. The civil rights generation, I told you all 2 decades ago. I tried to warn you 2 decades ago. Don't look for them niggas to do nothing. I had a bunch of folk arguing me talking about respect the elders. Now 2 decades later, finally, all the respect the elders, people done had to sit their asses down and shut up. But unfortunately, they were allowed to be there too long. Folks, we can't take that damn long to make the necessary radical changes. The baby boomer generation and the civil rights generation, all your so-called Mason lodges and secret societies and people out there and whatnot in the boule, folks, to this very damn day, they don't do a damn thing but nothing for themselves. They white companies like Essence, the White Essence Festival, and then you got your boot-licking, ass-kissing coon niggas who show up there. Don't you see it's not gonna stop? It's the same thing decade after decade. That's not gonna stop. If the niggas, if them old niggas in their Mason lodges were about a damn thing, we wouldn't be where we at today. Folks, we have watched Spike Lee go from being a young black man talking about the HBCUs to being a damn elderly black man talking about the HBCUs. And folks, what the hell do you have to show for all of your black Greek fraternities and sorority sluts from your HBCUs? If any of that bull crap was actually benefiting us, damn it, after 7 decades, 8 decades, a damn century, you could show me something. Yeah, y'all done forgot. It's been 4 decades since what, Do the Right Thing? Man, how long you got to wait before you realize, oh, wait a minute, this was a con job? If them old niggas were really doing something substantive or beneficial at them Mason lodges, yes, I said them because the Southerner coming out, at those Mason lodges and your black Greek fraternities, all they can do is booty line dance with each other. Mark Lamont Hill. That's what your black fraternities are doing. They're out there oiling up their butt cheeks and booty line dancing with each other, and then you telling me to support them and you can't figure out why the hell nothing's happening. Ain't nothing coming from them. The only thing that they're doing is putting enough pennies together so they can chase some chicks or chase some other dudes. And you already know about the sororities. Any female in here who has ever been a soror, if you would be totally honest, baby, you would admit they wasn't hitting on a damn thing. They give a good talk. They talk about the community. They may show up at a Girl Scout troop. I'm just going to tell y'all just like it is. The only soror that ever made anything pop off was the half-breed chick, Kamala Harris. He's a half-breed! I sure did. I'm not even going to hit the button. Kamala Harris was the only soror who hustled them draws to within an inch of the White House. Well, at least she was doing the same thing the rest of y'all do. Kamala Harris she wasn't doing anything different from what the rest of you sorors do. She just hustled the game better. Okay, well, I'm not even hoe-hating, y'all. I'm just saying, well, I'll be damned. If it's gonna be a big-ass freak-off, at least y'all should be ahead of the game. Can't none of y'all hustle them draws to $100 million? Can't nobody do that? All these hoes making the triangle symbol with their hands, and so Kamala Harris can become vice president, and there's a million others of you, and y'all can't hustle them draws to 50 million, 25 million? I'll cut the rate. Okay, not 100, 25. 25. If you're gonna be hoes, you can't at least capitalize on it. Okay, if you're gonna be hoes, you can't at least run the whole house. If this is how low the damn bar is, y'all. Okay, if you're gonna do it like that, well, damn, you can't at least run the whorehouse. No, because they're not looking to build nothing. They're looking for a place to sell them draws. And that's really all it ends up being. You can't blame that on the politicians. Nobody is stopping 5 or 6 of you from getting together. Nobody's stopping you from doing that. You got black females lined up. They can't wait to go sit up here and be Zaddy's little naughty white chocolate at some investment firm. I don't have no respect for that. Baby, if you're going to be working up in there, you need to be taking the knowledge you gained out that damn place and using it. Don't tell me a damn thing about Bill Ackman or Steve Cohen. They worked for the white dudes, and then them Jews got out there and put the money together for themselves. I can't do nothing but respect that. Now they're writing their own damn tickets. I'm putting this out as a warning to the rest of you. You can only be angry to a certain point here. If you're not cooperating, I didn't say you had to get together 1,000 people. You just need to get together 2. That's it, just 2. You got 2 or 3 people who are dead ass serious, and your goal is empowerment, not sleeping with each other, you're going to make some things happen. I come from a mid-sized southern city. I don't even come from a major American city. There's a bunch of you come from places where you had way more than me. Way more. Let's just call it what it is. Too much bull jiving around. That's what ends up with you getting exterminated and going extinct. You got access to multi-billion-dollar assets, multi-billion-dollar people, and then bull jiving around. There's no reason we shouldn't have 1,000 of the Black Wall Streets today, except now the focus hasn't been there. The focus hadn't been there. No. Let me go ahead and explain something to you right quick. You take a look at who owns Pornhub. Folks are complaining now, talking about Pornhub in Israel. Okay, fine. If that makes you feel better. Pornhub, OnlyFans. We can go down the list. Okay. Folks, if you are looking for some dude who's going to tell you that we live in a dirty ass system of white supremacy, I just explained to your hard head, knucklehead ass that these folk ain't playing by no rules out here. And you think when we're at war and you trying to tell me about some rules, nigga, get out my face. I don't have any time for you and not gonna make any. I'm up against an enemy who's not playing by any rules, including killing people. He plays by no rules. And you gonna tell me I'm at war with him and then hear your Jolly Rancher booty ass, you ain't got a damn thing to show for yourself, but you gonna tell me now, Jason, you see, these are the rules of engagement and you need to follow this rule right here or else you're not a good, honorable person. Get this nigga out my face. If I bust his ass over the head with a cinder block, I'm not gonna listen to some clown who's losing. Has no points on the board, 1-0, and then he's gonna tell me up against a ruthless enemy with no rules that I got to play by. These are the rules I need to play by so that he will approve of me. A broke, destitute nigga with no wins under his belt of any kind, he wants me to approve of him. Well, I want to make sure he thinks well of me. I don't give a damn what you think. Dwayne Johnson. I don't give a damn what you think. Anything goes in this son of a gun. Steel cage match, hell in the cell, Texas death match, ain't no rules. Well, it's all the way on. Don't sit up here and lock the damn cage and tell me it's a Texas death match and then say, okay, who's the baby face? Ain't no baby face in this damn match. It's all heels in this son of a gun. It's all heels. It's all villains up in here. I'm not gonna sit up here and mislead you all. Let some candy booty ass civil rights generation bastard baby tell you that we got the civil rights generation and those of you who are the bastard babies still carrying on they nonsense. I love clowning you just to show you what an ass you look like and that nobody's listening to you. You don't set any rules here. You already lost too much. You are irrelevant. Y'all, Travis Kalanick ain't got to play by any rules, but I'm going to come tell you about the rules you got to play by. Get the hell out my face. Every single one of you, strap up with your brass knuckles, wrap your chains around your forearms, put your damn pig sticker up in your afro. You do whatever in the hell you got to do. Curtis Jackson was dealing drugs and now the white folk had no problem giving him $100 million check. And you gonna try to shame me? So let me get this straight. Curtis Jackson is cool because he sold out to the system and now he gets $100 million check and the ass kissing coons are not waving their finger in his face. Oh, okay, so and now he can get $100 million check. That's legit. Oh, but for me, oh, here are the rules. Jason, you can't do what they did right there. I mean, why not? Well, that'll make you a bad person. Okay, I'm about to be a bad man up your ass. I am not going to tell any of you any of these people, any of these children, I am not going to disarm any of you. You in a cold ass, dirty ass game. I didn't make the world what it is, but I am going to look at it with my eyes wide open. None of you are putting yourself at hideous disadvantage if you start applying rules in a system where there ain't no rules. You trying to tell me about morality in a system where there is no morality. No morality anywhere, but you want to tell me about a system of morality. And there is none. I'm not sending y'all out there like that at all. I'm going to say this tonight. I have never sat up here and denigrated folks for anything except selling out. That's it. I never sat up here and denigrated nobody by how they got over in this system. You going to tell me about the Kennedys and the Vanderbilts? Y'all think y'all understand the Kennedys and Vanderbilts. No, you don't. No, you do not. Let me explain something to y'all about Cornelius Vanderbilt. Cornelius Vanderbilt was a cutthroat son of a gun in the transportation business. Cornelius Vanderbilt caught bodies. You know why? I mean literal bodies deliberately. Go look up the history of the story of Cornelius Vanderbilt. I once posted a saying on my Facebook page from Cornelius Vanderbilt because you see, he had went in on an operation down there in Central and South America to expand his operations with some of his quote unquote partners. And then remember back then you didn't have telephone service. So you see his partners decided to get together and double cross him. His own partners got together on that deal to double cross him. And when he left, they all got together and said, okay, we Xing him out. We gonna make this deal with these folk down here by ourselves and he gonna be out. And when he finally did come back months and months later, they let him know that, hey, dude, your money ain't good here, bruh. Your partners, they run the show. They run the show down here now. Cornelius Vanderbilt said, oh, really? He went back to America, he weighed his options, and then finally he sent a letter to his former partners. You don't have to believe me, folk. Look it up for yourselves. Cornelius Vanderbilt sent a letter to his former partners. It wasn't long. It was a very brief letter to them, and it simply stated, gentlemen, you have conspired to cheat me. I will not sue you because the courts are too slow. I will ruin you. Yours truly, Cornelius Vanderbilt. That was what the letter said. And sure enough, he said, I'm coming back down there. I'm bringing more boats. I'm undercutting them. And when that didn't move things along fast enough, he started destabilizing the country that they were in down there. He destabilized to overthrow the government. We talking about rebels, shooting, dead bodies, whole 9 yards, and Cornelius Vanderbilt was at the center of it, all for his financial interests. Oh yeah, and one more thing, it worked. Oh yeah, one more thing, it worked. He got his way. Yeah, everybody wants to, it's low-hanging fruit to talk about the Kennedys and bootlegging. You don't know your damn history if you have not investigated all these people and come away with more than just the Kennedys and bootlegging. Kennedys and bootlegging is a meme. Hell, you can't even tell me exactly what the beverages were they were bootlegging. All you can say is alcohol. All these so-called rich robber baron families, all these oligarchs got their money the same damn way, dirty as hell. All of them. Not a single one is clean. None. They wouldn't have got where they were if they were clean. Now, here you are 200 years later, and you think I'm going to hand you a rule book? Okay, I'm going to hand you a rule book. It only has 1 page in it, and it only has 2 words: don't lose. You want another 2 words? Anything goes. If you end up losing, it's your fault. Anything goes out here. I'm supposed to sit up here and play games about that? Telling you all what the rules are, and they're bombing. They're dropping dynamite on black towns. The U.S. government and its puppets at the state level are dropping dynamite on black towns. And I'm supposed to tell you about a damn rule book against them? Let me tell you about the rule book. Are you crazy as hell? Are you crazy as hell? No, I'm going to sit you down. I am going to appraise you of who the hell you up against and let you know what the real rules really are. And then you go from there. Folks trying to tell you about what's acceptable. And here's the crazy thing. It's always some powerless nigga trying to tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing. It's always some powerless nigga telling you about how you need to limit yourself so that you can be approved by them. It's not some, you don't ever hear that garbage from somebody who had to go through the trenches because they know what the real rules are. It's always some powerless jackass with their religious mysticism and some weed trying to sit up here and nag you. No, I'm not telling you no damn thing. I got differences with certain people in certain places. The bag ain't it. Y'all have not seen me say anything wrong about the money 50 Cent done made. I don't have an issue with that. I ain't hating on the dollar. I'm talking about the being on code part. Okay, 50, you done had enough time. You been in the streets. Hey, you did what you had to do. You got shot 6 times, 5 times. Okay, I ain't hating on it. Oh, he was selling dope. Sit your ignorant ass down. First of all, usually the people who go around saying that mess are usually dirty folk they damn selves got a bunch of kids they don't take care of. They evading taxes and messing and telling you about he was selling dope to our people. You know what the biggest poison to our people is? Telling them to go vote for politicians that don't do a damn thing for them. That's the biggest poison there could be. You can kick a drug habit. You vote for the wrong damn politicians, you'll suffer for that for the rest of your life. Even if you wake up and figure out that they're not in your best interests. If you vote for the wrong people, you will create policies that will victimize you and your children, and you won't be able to reverse them. You can kick a damn weed habit. You can kick a heroin habit. You can kick a crack habit. You can't kick them gentrifying half your city. That you can't overturn. You let them do that. There's only a limit to the amount of real estate. You let them gentrify half your damn city because you was on some stupid, well, you know, Obama, he sure do damn good. You can't kick that. Even if you wake up and realize, ooh, that was stupid of me to do that. Well, man, you're stuck with it now. These white corporations are going around the damn planet. We got chemicals that even I have to struggle to pronounce in your food, in your cigarettes, in your alcohol, in your soft drinks. Man, we have chemical concoctions that we can't even pronounce the names of, and in some cases, they don't even list all the ingredients. and got some jackass telling you about who's selling poison to our people. And while he's sitting there eating some chicken wings or eating some chicken tenders. Have you all ever seen the process of making chicken tenders? Have you ever witnessed that process? Have you witnessed the process of making most of the stuff you're up here eating? Have you ever seen how they make hamburgers? Forget sausage, I'm talking about beef. Have you ever seen that? And what's really in it? Do you think that the fish at your store is actually pink? For some of the other slow bus children, I got news for you. Anybody who's ever caught a wild salmon, you know that that's not the color. Yeah, go to your store and go to your local store and take a look in the seafood, the so-called fresh seafood. Actually, if you ever have gone fishing, you know that salmon is not that color. Oh, yeah, about to say, some folks, they love to tell you they go fishing, but by the way, if you go fishing, salmon is not that color. Anybody who has ever gone fishing and caught a salmon knows it's not that color. Salmon, trout, grouper, that's not the color it is. No, it's not. This damn Incredimeat they're selling? No. Is that poison? I'm not sure if it's poisonous. I know that ain't right. And you trying to lecture me about, quote, selling poison to our people? What kind of ADHD jackass do you think you are? Give you the damn time of day. See, this is how you respond when people say stupid things and you actually know what the hell you're talking about. It's like, by the way, can they explain that? And they'll sit there and do, no. You got Muslims who don't even know, by the way. No shade, no disrespect. My Muslim people can spit that game to y'all. You want to talk about halal? What's halal? Muslim people, the Muslims who are actually honest about it, yeah, that's always been an argument. That's always been an argument. I'm not going to even take you down that rabbit hole, but in any case. So, folks, when it comes down to it, they declared war on us. We went off into our enclaves. We went off into our towns. We segregated ourselves. We weren't bothering anybody. They left the Asians alone. They left the Irish alone. They left the Arabs alone. They left the Indians alone. They left everybody else alone. Ain't nobody dropped any dynamite or bombs on Chinatown, Koreatown, Mexican town. None of them have a Tulsa story. None of them have a Redwood story. None of them have a Wilmington story. None of them have a Philadelphia story. We're the only ones who got them stories. Just us. Which is why all of them conspire to make sure we don't have anything because, by the way, we're the only ones got that story. Just us. They didn't drop bombs on anybody else. They didn't blow up anybody else's anything. They let them people live. They let them live and flourish. They only targeted us. And so I want to take this as my opportunity to thank Mother Viola Fletcher, a woman who could have done like the rest of the civil rights generation and just sunk off into the landscape and said, let me enjoy my Social Security and let me have a quiet, peaceful death. It is because of women like her. She reminds me of my grandmother's. I know she reminds a lot of you of yours. And if she doesn't, you need to study it, because this is what it's about. She did not seek a quiet, peaceful death. She showed us something to be proud of. She passed on to us a legacy of survival and of greatness. She set an example from the cradle to the grave. You see that when you see that kind of thing right there happen, you're not afraid of anything, including death. When you've seen somebody show you that they were willing to put everything on the line for you, now you know how to do it. You're not scared of dying. You're afraid of disappointing your people while you're alive with a life that didn't serve them. That's the only thing you have to be afraid of, is a life that didn't serve your people. Not death. And she was determined that even at a century old, she was going to honor the dead and the unborn. She was a little child when this happened. The folk around her who got killed, those were the dead. All of us, we were the unborn. And she gave her life to the dead and the unborn. A phrase I gave you all decades ago, and we are going to continue it. Mother Viola Fletcher has become the latest in a blood debt that America and the white supremacist social order owe to us. The meter has just bumped up even more. We will never, 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 ever let this go. The Palestinians are quiet Christian missionaries compared to us. We will never let this go, ever. We will remember her and all of the other icons and martyrs. There is no deadline and there is no timeline on our reparations. Not now, not ever. You cannot negotiate it down. You cannot plea bargain it down, and we will not let it go. You would have been a lot smarter to just go ahead and do right by her. You would have gotten off a lot better. But we are not ever going to let this go. It would be an abomination. It would be an atrocity. You see, here's the thing right now. See, now we got something to prove to her. We have something to prove to Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Ida B. Wells, Mary McLeod Bethune, Betty Shabazz, Coretta Scott King, Viola Fletcher, Rosa Parks. We got something to prove to them now. You see, now what it is we have to prove to them that now that they have shown that they were worthy to be our mothers, we are now going to show them that we are worthy to be their sons and their daughters. I can't call you Mother Viola Fletcher if I'm not determined to show you I'm worthy to be your son. I can't speak your name if I don't show you that I'm worthy to do that. You showed me the way to do it. You set the example. Now I'm here to show you I can call you mother because I'm your son. And when I confront the white supremacists and this order, they will hear your voice through me, and they will see your face in me, and they will realize, damn, we should have paid it off back when it was a lot less, because this fella here ain't taking no prisoners. We should have just gone ahead and settled with her because she was being nice. And you cannot prove to them that you are worthy to be their children if you do not remind these animals of what they have done and then let them know that you do understand the bill has only gotten higher. So you see, and I will not disgrace Mother Viola Fletcher by leaving her up there for what I'm about to say here next. You see, when you come to me and you want to talk to me about a Charlie Kirk, a white supremacist demon, you want to sit up here and talk to me about that when I'm standing in the majesty of a Mother Viola Fletcher. You think you're going to get sympathy out of me? You think I'm going to sympathize with your demons? See, that's why you should have went ahead and settled things with Mother Fletcher. You should have done that with her. Because you see, if you talk to Mother Fletcher about a Charlie Kirk, she's going to be conciliatory and she's going to be polite about it. And that is why we lionize her. She's going to be polite. I damn sure ain't. Yeah, you should have done that settlement with her, because now you got to talk to me. And my attitude about it is only going to be hardline. You should have dealt with her. She would have let you off a little easier than me. I don't want to hear a damn word about that. That doesn't carry any weight with me. You should have talked to her. She'd have been a little more charitable. Now you got to talk to her sons and daughters. That mess don't carry any weight with us. We don't give a damn what you talking about over there. Oh, man. Now you realize you messed up. Yeah, you should have dealt with that differently. That would have been smarter. Because now you have to deal with the children. And see, the thing is, we're raised and we are products of a culture of resistance. The culture of resistance is only going to harden. It is only going to coarsen. It is not going to get softer. Every time that we come together here and we have to remember all the martyrs and all the victims, it reminds all of us why we are here. It reminds all of us of all the others who are not as fortunate as us. And it reminds us that we will not see it either. That's perfectly fine as well. We will not see all of the justice we're supposed to have, but I do remind you all, remember that these villainous white supremacist bastards a century ago, when they stole Manhattan Beach, properly known as Bruce's Beach, when they stole that from us then, I need you all to understand and realize and remember. You talk about the Zionists, black folk in particular, man, we should be more Zionist than anybody else. We should have a black Zionist movement because we're the only legitimate folk. I need to remind you all, everybody likes to go to the beach. Everybody likes to go to the beach. People, do you realize the beaches of America, that's where we were? The so-called beaches of America, that's where we were. The waterfront properties in America, that's where we were, because that's where the white supremacists drove black folk to. So when you talk about Lake Lanier and the swamps and Bruce's Beach, people that we got driven out from the good farmland. All of this, they wanted the good arid farmland. They wanted that. And they were like, good, you niggas, we're going to drive y'all into the ocean. They pushed us out until we were in the damn ocean. So please remember, all this so-called valuable beachfront property today, folks, that's where we were. Southern Louisiana, Southern Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, California, Texas. Folks, that's where we were. Every time you go to where the beaches are in America, you're going to find black towns where it used to be black towns. Everywhere you go. When you go to the coastline, people, Wilmington, when you go to the coastline, folks, that was ours. That's where we were. As I said, if you haven't looked at your history and that, go prove me wrong. Spoiler alert, it ain't going to happen. Spoiler alert, it's not going to occur. That was us. Those were the black towns. And now today it's the most valuable real estate in America. Well, yeah, because once again, we got driven out of it because it is government policy to impoverish and dominate us. So if anybody needs a Zionist movement, it is us. Well, they don't want us having these kind of conversations because words like these start to take hold and take root. Words like these start to take hold and take root. That's the issue. And when you start walking in these places and walking on that sand and you start realizing, wait a minute, this is ours. Now you realize you have something else to do. See, that is when you have Mother Fletcher there. That's why we have the memories of this right here, because every time you want to start wavering, it taps you on the shoulder. Hey, son, isn't there something you're supposed to be doing? You're not supposed to be hanging around to get turned up. When you go these places, you're supposed to be saying, wait a minute, isn't there something you're supposed to be doing? Isn't there something you've overlooked? Isn't there something else you're supposed to be doing here? You see, what they want you to do is to focus on cell phones and tennis shoes so that you do not take a look at your beautiful black babies and sit them down and say, now, child, let me tell you about who we really are. Let me tell you and educate you about who we really are. And I want you to understand that there is a blood debt that has been racked up against us here. And that as a result, I want you to remember that this is a lifetime mission for you. That I want you to remember these beaches. I want you to remember these waterfronts. I want you to remember these lands and to remember that these are our lands. Do not let anyone lie to you, because that is the dirty little secret. Everyone is here to lie to you and say these are not our lands. And you see, we have buried entirely too many martyrs for us to disregard and forget that. You see, that's what you're supposed to be telling your children and your grandchildren. You see, the first legacy that you pass down is your identity of self. That's your first legacy. And that is what takes hold in the real world. When you don't have anything to pass down, then everything becomes an intangible. Ideas are wonderful intangibles, but if people have taken tangibles from you, you do not hand down to your children a priority of intangibles. You give them the intangible and remind them of the mission is the tangible. Not for your children to become comfortable with their intangible state. The priority is I'm giving you this intangible to remind you that we are on a mission. We are on a crusade. And we have literally millions of names that we are required to demand justice for. And so I want to say to Mother Viola Fletcher that your sacrifices were not in vain. Your sacrifices were not in vain. We have been moving the needle. We have been moving the ball across this country. The conversation 20 years ago was radically different from the one today. People, Tom Joyner saw Viola Fletcher and tried to use it to make a dollar for himself. We saw what happened, and we reminded people that this is bigger than Tulsa. You don't get Bruce's Beach without us stomping in the streets and saying that it's bigger than Tulsa. Tom Joyner never talked about Bruce's Beach. We talked about it here because we reminded everyone that this is bigger than Bruce's Beach. I mean, it's bigger than Bruce's Beach. It's bigger than Wilmington, and it's bigger than Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. We have an entire nation of Tulsas. It's not just one Tulsa. We have a whole nation of Tulsas. And now the conversation is everywhere, and it's not going away. This is not a movement. It is our culture. And the only thing delaying is doing is reminding people of your blood debt. You see, Charlie Kirk got what he got. By that, what I mean is y'all attempted to make him a hero and we stomped that out. No, it's not going to be any letting up on you at all. When you are dealing with a merciless, vicious demon like this, ain't no letting up. There's no letting up on you. Not at all. You don't even get to sit there and say anything nice about him. Oh, no. Y'all saw we stomped that out in real time. We stomped that out in real time. They were mad as hell then. They mad as hell today. They was like, can you give us a few minutes to more? And we're like, nah, buddy. We stomping this out right here. Because you set the rules. You said this is the get down. You said this how it's going to be. So, yeah, we stomping this out right here, right now. You get no room to breathe. None. There's no way in the world that I'm going to look into the face of a Viola Fletcher and then I'm going to give you 1 inch. There is no way in the world I'm going to look at what you did to her and I'm going to give you any leeway. You will get nothing. You will get nothing except this bill. You're going to get nothing but this bill for what you've taken. And the interest and penalties that will accrue. You're going to get nothing except that. Rest in power, Mother Viola Fletcher. Rest in power, Brother H. Rap Brown. Well, I don't want to forget about that either. For those of us who are a little bit older heads, rest in power to him also. We will never forget our martyrs. We will never forget our heroes. We are able to stand today and we are able to sacrifice today because you all gave us the example of how to do it. You gave us the example, and if this woman could remain a soldier in the army of the Lord for over 100 years, if she could do it for over a century, then you damn right I can pull it for another weekend. You start talking about getting tired. This woman was ready to march and kept marching for over a century and a decade, and you trying to tell me how tired you are? None of us get to sit down. None. If this woman could march for over a century, then all of us will continue marching. All of us. And one day we'll take down your Confederate monuments and we will place Mother Viola Fletcher in its place. We will take down these monuments to your debauchery, and we will raise these icons in their place in our Tulsa and on our beaches and for our children. And then after that, you can start having a conversation about America redeeming itself. Yes, we can discuss America's redemption right after America has settled its debts. Then we can discuss redemption. We'll discuss it then and not one solitary second sooner. However, you might disagree. As a matter of fact, there's some folk in the chat room who apparently do. And that's fine by me also. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and have you call up here. So LaVon and anybody else there that we've told to call up here tonight, we're going to go ahead and throw up the link to the Zoom in the chat room here for you. And you can go ahead and give us a call. We'll be glad to go ahead and do that. We'll be glad to go ahead and do that. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to College Initiative 1626.
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time. I told you today I'm still the greatest of all time.
College Initiatives here in the chat room and the Super Chat. Thank you very much for your support tonight. We definitely appreciate that. Shout out here to my man, Mr. Richburg. Thank you for your support as always. To Chadwick, Brother Chadwick's back in the house. James Mitchell, he's been here as well. To all the folk who gave out memberships tonight, Logic Before Emotion. Logic Before Emotion is giving the gift that keeps on giving just in time for the holidays, though we don't take holidays. FBA Queen, doing what you do. Thank you. Shout out to all of you for that. We appreciate that, Melvinia. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, those of you who've been told to call in, we'll be talking to you. And to anyone else who wants to chime in as well, you can do so also. This is the Black Channel.
True masculinity isn't about power, it's about presence. Confidence that's natural, grounded, and real. Begin your ritual with Honey Beauty's Main Magic Beard Wash and Conditioner, infused with the goodness of mangoes and organic botanicals to cleanse deeply, soften, and revive your beard. Follow with Honey Beauty's Main Magic Beard Oil, a powerful blend of natural oils that nourish, strengthen, and add a smooth, confident shine. Complete the look with Honey Beauty's Main Magic Beard and Body Butter. Pure organic hydration that keeps your skin and beard soft, healthy, and refined.
Be the teacher, knowledge on the block. Got the kids learning, minds open like a lock. Books and skills from the east to the west. Bringing education, yeah, we're simply the best. Classes on fire, brains burning with desire. Innovation driving like a tire through the mire. Math, science, history, we got the whole range. Kids hitting new heights, teachers making a change. Used to be the teacher, stacking up the grades. Future bright shining, no need for no shades. Got the youth thriving, moving up the ladder. Smart and sharp, brains growing fatter. Lessons so lit, yeah, they stay in a blaze. Every mind sharp like a sword in the haze. Mr. B in the house breaking knowledge chains. Education kingpin, we ripping the games. Mr. B the teacher.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. And in the chat room there, College Initiative said you're from Tulsa and that all your life you were told our mission was to be a credit to our race. So thank you very much. We appreciate you weighing in on that. But here's the thing. In Oklahoma, because right now money is moving around. In Oklahoma, of course, we talked about this before, that Legends skyscraper that they want to build. I mean, right there in the heart of everything that was ours. Right there in the heart of everything that was ours there in the 21st century, that they are trying to lock those things in. That these things are sitting on our land. They've destroyed ours and then erecting these things. They're doing that for a reason. They're doing that for a reason. I want you all to think about something here for a moment. I want you to think about something because this is how diabolical a game we're in. I want to educate you all. You all know I used to be in construction when I was a young man, but I've always kept an interest in construction and building. I always have. And I got to thinking about something. Because I take a look at all these, documentaries and things that come online and stuff, and they talk about, you know, when buildings were built and whatnot. And I was asking the question because they talk about the Burj Khalifa, tallest building in the world. Now they're talking about doing the Jeddah Tower because they want to make a tower that's a mile tall. So, I mean, they are cutting up over there in the Middle East. But I wanted to go back to the skyscraper that really set off this arms race around the world that started it all. The Empire State Building. And I was asking a question. I said, you know, that thing is about a century old. It was built in 1930, so it's 95 years old. But the Empire State Building is going on a century old. So, of course, you would ask the question, hey, wait a minute. How long is that thing supposed to be standing? How long did you all plan for the Empire State Building to be there? Because it's been there for a minute. So just out of curiosity, how long is that thing supposed to be there? Well, what was the lifespan supposed to be? A lot of folk don't even ask that. A lot of folks don't even ask that. But in reality, the Empire State Building, really the idea was for it to be standing with the way they built and stuff for like about a century. And then after that, of course, eventually stuff's going to get dilapidated. It's going to go into disrepair. It'll be time to tear it down. But did you all know that the Empire State Building, since it was built, has been through, I believe, 2 renovations? Last one, I think they spent, hundreds of millions of dollars renovating the inside of the Empire State Building. However, the story doesn't end there. Yeah, they've done renovations, but that's the inside. What about the beams and the girders and the structure of it? Did you know that they're talking about, well, you know, as those pieces in the building go bad, you can actually just replace those pieces? And so At this point, the Empire State Building's integrity and ability to remain viable, it's indefinite. There is no real predetermined lifespan, not anymore. Not when you have the ability now to replace whole parts of it if you need to. If you need to replace this I-beam over here, this girder over here, if you need to be able to do that, well, folks, the timetable now is indefinite. Now it's indefinite. Well, that's very interesting because there's a number of skyscrapers around America. And what you're telling me is the only thing that will limit their lifespan is who pays for it. If the money is available, then they can keep that thing standing indefinitely. That brings me back to Oklahoma. That brings me back to Tulsa. That brings me back to Oklahoma City. Now you want to erect skyscrapers there and whatnot. And I'm just letting you know now, those things could be there indefinitely. They could be there for 500, 600 years, maybe longer. There is no set timetable, not anymore. I'm telling you that the reason that they blew up our towns and the reason why they are continuing to target us is because it's about dominance. Keeping their boots on our neck is their trophy and their symbol and their expression of dominance to everybody else. That's why it's so important for them to keep doing those things. That's their reason. So I need your children, when they walk through New York City, when they walk through Dallas, when they walk through Los Angeles, when they walk through Miami, they can look up at the skyscrapers and whatnot, but you need to be there to put those things in their proper context. First and foremost, starting with the soil that it's sitting on. You need to be there to put it in its proper context for them. Do not allow them to be naive. Let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom right quick. Let me see if we can get Superpower Media. Let me get Superpower Media up here on Zoom. All right, Superpower Media, what's on your mind?
Jason, this is definitely a powerful message tonight. We all needed this. The message that you're putting forth tonight is incredible. And Mother Fletcher, the Honorable Mother Fletcher, man, she's if you didn't know that woman, man, you wouldn't know that she was 111 years old. She actually looked younger than 111. I mean, perfect. God kept that woman, man, for this reason, for us to, like you said, to be warned, almost to say you young and you not doing what you're supposed to be doing as a young person or middle-aged person. This woman took it all the way to the grave, man. Do you know she stepped up in those committees and she didn't ask for no award, she didn't ask for no trophy. She said cut the check at her age.
And those villainous white supremacist bastards, they looked at this woman who her story is impeccable and unimpeachable. You know what happened to her as a little girl. Y'all got pictures today. She lived through it. And they sat there and took that little old lady and said, damn you and your story and your history. White supremacy it will be. And you think I give a damn about a Charlie Kirk? You insult me by thinking that I'm going to pause for a picosecond. Look up a picosecond, people. You think I'm going to pause for a picosecond after you did that? You think that's going to happen? Ever? No, when you have a demon who looks your people in the eye and has that level of evil, I want you to understand, I see what you are and I accept you for what you are. You are an irredeemable beast. You are an irredeemable monster. I will never make peace with you. I can't make peace with an animalistic monster and a demon like this. The only thing I can do is overcome you. That's the only thing I can do. That's it. The only thing I can do is defeat you. We can never make peace. Ever. We can never work it out. We can't talk it out. Ain't no negotiation. It's nothing. The only peace we're going to have is when we defeat you. That's the only one.
Yeah. Because, Jason, think about this. She dodged the bullets. She dodged the bombs. She got a chance to see the bodies. She lived through something that we can't even comprehend what she went through. And she was able to make it through this, and they denied her, man. That's the evil of these people. They devils, man. But they're gonna have to pay up. They're gonna have to cut the check, because, like you said, she stood for us, man. She never gave up, and we gotta continue with that spirit. Never give up spirit,
brother.
Man.
The reason why this matters, I want y'all to understand something here. I'm reminding you all again the reason why they so damn salty about George Floyd. They keep talking about BLM and George Floyd. Yes, because they never thought they would live long enough to see their Confederate white supremacist monuments toppled in the middle of the streets like they did the statues of Saddam Hussein in Baghdad. They never thought that they would see the children of the American slaves dancing on the graves and on the tombstones of their white supremacist heroes. They never thought they'd live that long. They thought they'd be long dead before that day ever came. They thought it would be some post-nuclear apocalypse or something that would cause that to happen, and we'd be crawling from the ashes of the rubble of World War IV or something. No, they lived long enough to see that occur in their lifetimes. They got to witness it. And now we're letting them know, because of what you have done to Emmett Till and Mother Viola Fletcher and the others, just understand that that was just a preview of coming attractions. Oh, that was just a preview of what else is coming. And what it showed them is that we haven't let this go. They're like, well, the Civil War is 160 years ago. And we're like, no, it's not. It was yesterday. And we are still at it. Yeah, you damn well better believe that they are mad as hell. You want to know why they did that to her? Because we showed them, oh, we have not forgotten. We're here for her and everything. They're like, it's across the board. It wasn't just one city, people. Folks, I didn't get to cover this before. I had to remind you all, they tore down the Confederate statues here in Shreveport in front of the courthouse. Remember, this was the last capital of the Confederacy. When they chased them west, Shreveport, Louisiana was the last capital of the Confederacy, where Jefferson Davis and the boys were kind of hiding out at. You saw how that went. So it was very, very spiritually significant to them to be able to have those statues there. And the day came when they had to remove those. There's a tree there now, by the way. But the day came they had to do that too. The day came when that had to happen too. This is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a marathon, and when we say you racking up the bill, that's what we mean. Because if we're polite, we'll just get the little things. If we are militant, oh, it's clean sweep. Anything and everything. Well, you should leave the statues there so folks can remember their history. You know what? Why don't we tear your damn statues down and they can look at the history in a history book where it belongs? Maybe we would have been a little bit merciful and let you keep your monuments as a testament to the monsters that you have been, and let our children see the monsters here and just say, by the way, these people are really evil enough to build a statue like this. But on second thought, why don't we tear all of them down? And you can go witness your monuments in a picture book. You can go watch them there. We're going to just make a clean sweep of all of them. Every monument, every placard, every bridge, every namesake, every one of their students and their devotees. Yeah, not just the original monsters, but all of their children and grandchildren and their heir apparents and all their little students and all their little admirers. Yeah, all of you too. Every one of you, J. William Fulbright and whoever else. Yeah, all of you. And America can review its history of monsters in a history book. We do know. Oh, we're not going to erase you from history. We're going to put you right where you belong. Right where you need to be. We're going to clean up the damn landscape. And nobody will have to encounter you except in a book somewhere.
Yeah.
I'll let you have the last word.
Because you got to look at it like this, Jason. What if Black Wall Street had been able to flourish without the destruction of those demons? Man, we'd be and all of the other Black Wall Streets that was out there had been able to flourish. Man, we'd be way ahead of our time, man. And they knew that. That's why they did what they did. So B1 Jason, keep up the good work, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling now. Look, we have always been special. We have always been exceptional. We have always been showing them that we could perform at a super high level. That's not something new. That's the way it's always been. So they were aware, yeah, we better stomp this out because we've always shown them that's what it is. Let me see if we can get Joe up here on Zoom for me right quick. All right, let's see if we can get Joe up here on Zoom. There's Joe. Unmute yourself, Joe. What's on your mind? Unmute yourself, sir.
I want to say rest in power to Mother Viola Fletcher. And I wanted to say something regarding the reparations here in Boston. So we have some state reps and the senator. They drew up some bills that were heard last Thursday, November 25th. It's H1753 and H1696. The bills, they don't have any teeth. It's like one is to study reparations again. And then the other one was for restricted equity from the past, from the 1940s, and civil rights and things like that. And it's like they had the hearing, people, they spoke and they were heard, and we're still like a few people I know, we're still like writing testimonies and sending stuff in. But what do we do? You know, like aside from that, we're just giving them like advising on what we think they should do. They're talking about African descent. Like it's not even FBA or B1 rooted. It's just like free for all, and it's all BS too. They just
the issue is like we said before. That's why we abandoned all that study talk from the very beginning. Even when John Conyers was doing HR 40, we sank that. We're not going for any trick bags. You're not going to trick us into stomping or supporting or marching for any more studies, because every study just leads to another study, and then they come back. Ooh, it's been too long since we did the last study. So if y'all vote for us a lot, we can fight to get a new study, because we need to know exactly what's going on. But brother, we've already checked out all of that right there. I mean, it doesn't mean anything. It's not going to get any support. Listen, you're not going to get anything passed if we don't support it. That's the bottom line. So they can try all the red herrings they want to, but at the end of the day, we're going to mobilize, but you're not going to get anything mobilized without us. You're not going to be able to bring over a bunch of immigrants and get nothing through. That's not happening. That's not going to occur. The only reason they're doing this, brother, is because 2026 is coming up. I need you all to understand. Don't you get all emotional and get caught up in smoke and mirrors. I keep having to remind you all that as we get more sophisticated and more savvy of what's happening, they get more desperate with their trick bag games. Remember when Joe Biden was president, I told y'all what happened. COVID breaks out, 2019 going into 2020. Oh, Joe Biden is locking everybody up and kicking folk out the military and this, that, and the other. And I told you all he's going to declare it over in 2022. Why? Because it's the midterms and he needs it. And folks, did it happen? Did I call it? Yes, 2022 comes and pandemic's over. Okay, everybody can move now. Just like I said, that was political. because what he was doing destroyed his numbers. It destroyed his support. Part of the reason Trump's in the White House today is because of what Biden did during COVID. What Biden did during COVID helped Trump get back to the damn White House. That was how damaging it was. So, brother, please do not underestimate the value of support. They need every man on deck. They're looking at the 2026, and they're having problems not just nationally, but locally at the state level. So they're fighting for governorships. They're fighting for state representatives, state senate. It's at the state level that they're fighting for stuff, man. They need you for that. They are worried about these groundswells of things. So they weren't just weak in Washington. They're weak across the board. So 2026 is coming up. You're going to have federal and state elections, and they know that they're dead with the black vote. So they're trying to make it seem like we got to offer them something. And what they're showing you is they know what the issue is. That's what they're really trying to communicate to you is wait, we hear you now. I mean, we hear you. We understand that this is the issue. So here's the thing, brother. You notice that everywhere you go, somebody's got something like that going on. Everywhere you go, somebody's got something like that going on. So the message has gotten through. They are letting you know, okay, we get it. You don't want to hear about integration. You don't want to hear about block grants. Y'all ain't trying to hear scholarships. You trying to hear this here. Well, I'm working on it for you now. I heard you. We trying to get to it. That's what they're trying to do now. And this is only to try to give you something to encourage you to show up next year. That's all it is, brother. So don't misinterpret or misunderstand the significance of it, and don't wring your hands about it. It's the same old smoke and mirrors. What they want is for us to show up. This is not going to get us to show up. So they're doing themselves the harm.
Understood. The man gave $500,000 to 2 colleges to study a year ago, and then they had to show what they found, and they came with barely anything, just the same things they were showing the year prior. It's foolishness.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hustle at these colleges, and I've already condemned the academics. This is what they do, brother. They sit up here, every time we turn around, we say, y'all need to pass the bag to us. And what happens every time you turn around? Oh, they show the money. Somebody shows up with a bag. They give it to everybody except us. Hey, black folk need something. Let's give Van Jones $100 million. Really?
Yeah.
Black folk need something. Ooh, let's give the HBCUs $100 million. We need reparations. Oh, well, don't give it to black folk. Give it to me over here at this university. I will study it for them. So you see what keeps happening. So there's folk out here, trying to capitalize on it and exploit it. And you got people just passing things around. So it's the same game. They're passing the bag around to each other. The problem is that comes with a penalty. And the penalty is we see you. We see what you're doing. We see what's going on. You're not fooling us. We're not deceived. We see it. So, brothers, I want y'all to understand there isn't going to be any reparations package for immigrants. That's not what's going to happen, people. If anything does occur, it's only going to occur through us, by us, and that's it. Anything else is just to give you the impression we're working on it, but no, you're not going to get anything passed without us. Everything else is a distraction. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Now we appreciate that. Let's see if we can get Shakir up here on Zoom for me right quick. All right, brother Shakir, what's on your mind?
Hi, Jason. It's good to hear from you again, as always. Jason, speaking approximately, if there are 40 million of us, and if I give 40 million of us $25,000 apiece, that's $9 trillion. Economists say that such an influx into the economy, the American economy, would devalue the dollar, increase inflation, and destroy supply chains. What do you say to that?
Okay. There's a very large discussion about money, fiat currency, monetary policy, deflation, that for me to go into it would take me about 30 minutes to explain everything to everybody. I can't even really point to a video that would explain it properly. Long story short, however, when you take a look at the national debt, remember the national debt is also a reflection of how much currency is out there. If you pulled back on a lot of that, you're going to have a serious deflationary cycle. And there are a lot of folk who are like, the national debt isn't going to be repaid because it's not intended to be repaid. It is intended to keep the system going, not to repay it, because otherwise you would have to remove that currency from circulation is the thing. So to do a drawdown like that, you'd have to have a contraction in the money supply, which of course would contract the economy. So there's a lot of nuance and there's a lot of rules that would go into that. Now, do I think you need to have $40 trillion worth of debt? Hell no, because you start having interest payments that come on top of that. So I'm saying that because when you say, oh, what would spike inflation and can you afford this and injecting this much money into the economy and XYZ and so on. Okay, now let's take it a little bit different. You have a black budget that we know for a fact. People there, you already know this, Shakir. Since the Iraq war started, there's been what, $2 or $3 trillion unaccounted for? Pentagon can't find it. Folks, not billions, trillions. We can't find it. You and me, we're old enough, brother. We've been hearing this now since the Iraq war broke out, Iraq War II. We've been hearing about $100 billion here, $500 billion there, unaccounted for. We don't know where it went. We know it got allocated to us, but we don't know where it went. You and me been hearing this now for a quarter of a century since 9/11 happened. Now, that $9 trillion you just talked about, there it was. Okay, you and me both lived through COVID. That was $3 trillion right there. Do we have anything to show for that $3 trillion? The housing crisis, the Great Recession of 2008, there was another $3-4 trillion. Tell me what you and I got to show for it. All the Wall Street bankers got to keep their bonuses. So, brother, I'm just saying, nobody starts wringing their hands like that till we show up. And yet I can show you whole wars, military actions, black budgets, Wall Street, bailouts of the bankers. Forget you and me, brother. They gave $3 or $4 trillion to the bankers. So the bankers can get that. It wasn't an issue. No vote. Society doesn't get to vote. Nobody gets to object. And that's cool. You show up and all of a sudden, whoa. Back up, brother Shakir. Now, you're talking crazy. You clearly don't understand monetary policy and inflation. You don't get it, man. That's the problem with you Negroes if you had a good education about economics. So, brother, I don't want to hear it. They only tell that mess when we show up. If giving that money to Wall Street was not the end of the world, if giving that in Iraq and Ukraine and Afghanistan and God knows where else was not the end of the world, and if giving it to the bankers again for COVID was not the end of the world, then damn it won't be the end of the world now either. Wherever you found that $9 trillion at, you should have gave it to us the first time. So pass it around now so you can make up for the stupid thing you did before.
But what if it does devalue the dollar? Then what?
But brother, the dollar's devaluing now.
So you say the longer we wait.
Yeah, I mean, if the longer you wait, it's going to be worth nothing. So I'm just saying, it's like, but brother, hey, we're going to sink the ship. The ship's already sinking. So we have to deny you because we have to save the country. But the country's sinking now. Yeah. So all the doomsday scenarios they're talking about, it's happening right now without them giving us nothing. So I'm just like, okay, that doesn't hold no water with me.
The reason why I asked the question is because there was something where Trump said that the tariffs have brought in something like $17 trillion, and he was talking about giving out $2,000 checks, and his council on economic advisors told him they were pulling back on that, So,
yeah, because that was just a lie. I mean, the tariffs are not bringing in that much money. This guy lies. I'm convinced he's lying in his sleep. He's sitting there whispering garbage in Melania's ear in his sleep. That's why she don't want to listen to him. So,
yeah. But anyway, that's the argument. And the reason why I said, I guess it's within the 48 laws of power. You should always think about what your enemy thinks about. That's the excuse that they will give us, that it would devalue the dollar, inflation would run wild, and that the supply chains, because people, once they got that money, especially when black people got that money, they would start spending like crazy. It would disrupt supply chains. That's the argument that they're going to give to us.
Okay, I have never heard of an economic expansion that people talked against and said, "Oh no, that would be too much. That would be too much economic activity." Now, granted, there is such an animal as an overheated economy. Well, yeah, there is. Here's the problem, Shakir. We don't have an overheated economy in black society. The thing that they are afraid of is not that we're going to go to the Mercedes dealership. The thing that they're afraid of is that we're going to actually have enough money to actually invest in ourselves. That's what they're worried about. Brother, we got job fairs all over the damn place. People, do you know how many banks that black folk talk to every year to try to get a legitimate loan to start a business? That happens hundreds of times a day. And we are not all just sitting around trying to figure out we're going to spend $1 million on tennis shoes. They're worried about all these people who have been locked out of the economy, that all of a sudden they suddenly got given a real shot to make something real pop off. That's what they're trying to stop, because they know we talk about it all the time. What did Kamala Harris say? SBA going to help black folk more than they've been not helping them. They're letting you know, yeah, we hear you. Y'all nag us all the time about capital. You want business capital, investment capital. They shut down the black females who wanted to have their own, venture capital fund. Brother, that's what they're afraid of, that you'll be in a position where that you can't stop us from moving up anymore. That's what they're worried about. Not a bunch of Negroes buying a bunch of cars.
Well, thank you for your time. And I think 25,000 would be a good start, but if they're whining about that, they're
going to whine about anything, brother. If you give it $5, it doesn't matter what the number is. The principle is no, because they're worried about that, brother. When the man said it, he wasn't lying. If you teach them how to read, they're going to want more. If you give them, they're begging for venture capital. If you give it to them, they will want more. If you give them investment capital, they're not going to stop there. They know full well that once you get your first taste, once you really make it pop, you're not going to stop there. You're not going to be happy. There'll be some folk happy one little barbershop, but there'll be a bunch who won't be. You're not going to stop there.
Do you see the reparations as a one-off or as a continuous thing annually?
I will see reparations as a policy. So let me go ahead and try to get you all. When I talk about reparations across the board, it has been the policy of the American government since before there was American government to target us, specifically economically. You wish to balance the scales? You will target us now for economic development. Cash payments is only one form of it. Do you realize how many other things we run into? Because once again, Shakir, I can give you $5 million. Okay, that's great, that's grand, that's wonderful. And that sure as hell goes a long way towards straightening you out. But do you realize that Elon Musk is plugged into the federal government to the tune of hundreds of billions? So is Larry Ellison, so is Jeff Bezos, so is Mark Zuckerberg, so is Cisco, so is Nvidia, so is, you get the point. So even if I gave you that, do you realize these other people are plugged in ways you are not? So you see, if you don't get access to that too, then proportionally, you're still going to be at the bottom still. You'll still never catch up. You'll be like, damn. Now they're going to be like, you niggas, what do you want? We already gave you $5 million. You're still saying it's not enough? So you see what the issue is. Even if they do that, if they lock the other doors on you, that's going to run out, because by definition, they'll have to. That's why all these other folk, you don't get to reach billionaire status unless you're plugged into the government. You have to be plugged into the system there. So when I say across the board, I'm talking about not just there, but the government policy that's favoring Elon, a white supremacist. I mean, Twitter is the Anglo nation. And he's still got his government contracts across the board. Until that becomes policy favoring us, take it from Elon, and it favors us, until that happens, that kind of thing right there, those are the kind of things you're looking for. That's what I mean by policy. Things like that. It's not limited to that. That's not all of them. But I'm just giving you a good idea what I mean beyond just quote unquote cash payments. Okay, cash payments. Yeah. And by the way, these policies, yeah, that needs to swing over here too. So we can make sure we protected it. Remember the old Godfather saying, money to gain power, power to protect money. If I just give you the money, that doesn't mean you have power. So you want the money so we can get that power. Recognize the power isn't just locked behind one door, money. It's also locked behind other doors, access, influence. It's locked behind those too. So we have to look at it from that. I think when you look at it from that perspective, that is holistic and that cleans up everything.
And one final point, what is meant by the term money is fungible?
I mean, fungible means that you can use it in other places, that it all goes together. For example, you go to a gas station. By government, the government has mandated that all gasoline must be fungible. That means that it doesn't matter what refinery made the gas, they have to all be able to go to any gas station and be equally usable. So it doesn't matter what refinery refined the gas, it has to be done the same way so that any tanker leaving that place can go to any gas station, drop off the gas, and it'll work as intended when it gets there. That's what it means to be fungible. So basically like universal or universally exchangeable. So that's what it means. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Yeah, so fungible just means basically universally exchangeable. It works everywhere and with no changes to it. So that's the down and dirty way of explaining it. You can take it anywhere and it's going to be used the same by everybody. So just a type of universality. All right, let's see if we can get Anthony up here on Zoom right quick. Anthony, what's on your mind?
Peace, Jason. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. What's on your mind?
All right. Peace to Jason Black and peace to the Black experience. I want to touch on Tulsa and then give a functional definition for Black that was given about 35, 40 years ago, since everybody trying to stop us from using the word Black. Tulsa. Bill Clinton, many years when he was in office, gave a fake apology to the survivors of Tulsa. But he said at the time he gave the apology, he said that there would be no compensation for what went on. After him, each time the survivors of Tulsa was able to get their grievances heard by whoever the president was. So by this time, the survivors had hired Brother Charles Ogletree from Harvard University, who taught Michelle and Barack when they were at Harvard. And they thought that would help get them at least a more, how can I put it, sincere hearing of their grievances. And
well, we know how that worked out.
Yeah. And I give credit to Brother Alt Maddox here, who, God rest his soul, who was running the United African Movement at the time. Before, when it was in the news, he said that Barack will not give them anything. He said it before it took place. And of course, he was right. But the context of this is that not only did he deny them, he also, in his first, remember, he did 2 terms. In his first term, he okayed a payment to the survivors of the Holocaust, which didn't even happen on this land. And in his second term, he also okayed a payment to the survivors of the Holocaust, and to the point where he even spoke on it and said that they are poor and they are old and elderly and they deserve to have something. And I'm like, look, what about the survivors of Tulsa? You can't see that a grievance has happened to them also, and it happened on this land. But I'm just making that point because you hit something when you said that earlier. You hit something. I don't want to go too deep into it because I'll start to ramble. But it just shows you who Barack was, and that's what Maddox said from the podium. He said, "You're going to see exactly what you're dealing with. You think this is somebody that has your interest." He said he's going to show you that he does not have your best interest at heart. And the point, that's the other point that was made. They were, the narrative at the time was
Reader's Digest version, brother. Reader's Digest version.
Okay. That he couldn't, across the aisle, he couldn't get no help across the aisle. For this, he didn't have to have any help across the aisle. All he had to do is okay the payment. It would have been fine.
No,
Now,
they never that legislation lie. Every time we show up, it's always, oh, it's too difficult. Oh, we need more help. Oh, it's not the right time. Oh, we don't have enough votes. Oh, it's not in the budget. That talk only happens when we show up. All sorts of money flies all over the place for literally everybody else. And the only time that bureaucratic garbage comes up is when we show up. That's it. So at a certain point, you have to just realize, okay, before I even call them up, I already know what lie they're going to tell. We already know the list of lies they're going to give. The real thing is about punishing that behavior. I'll let you have the last word.
Okay, I'll do this quick. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, many years ago, in the late 80s, 90s, and Khalid referred to himself, even though he was in the nation, he referred to himself as a Pan-Africanist. But he was being hounded by Pan-Africanists to leave, and he even said that in some of the lectures, and be the go-between for Africa being more involved, being promoted more, even within the nation with the minister. And Khalid, he addressed it, and he addressed it by saying this. He said that he read something from Molefi Keti Asante, who was at the time the chair of Temple University.
Okay, brother, give us the abbreviated version of it, sir.
All right. He said, black is this. He said, Molefi said, black is color, culture, and consciousness. And he said if Molefi didn't mind, he wanted to add something else to it. He said he would like to add that black is color, culture, consciousness, and a corresponding cosmic connection. And that's the thing that separates us. And after that, he said, that's how you relate to the thing and how the thing relates to you. So as we have these tethers that do what they do, and then they try to participate in the culture, like Busta Rhymes. He using the music, using black music. Busta even refers to himself as God body, as a member of the 5% nation of gods and earth, which was started here. That's part of the culture here. And at the same time, with his chest, he comes out and says, you have no culture. Black America don't have no culture.
Well, all I can say is when people give criticisms, consider the source. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, when people say things, consider the source. The good news is, like I said, by the way, Busta Rhymes needs to go to Victoria's Secret and get a new dress. I'm not even going to hit the sounds tonight, y'all. I'm not even going to do that tonight, but yeah, Busta Rhymes is, I think Busta Rhymes is at Nordstrom's picking out a new dress. I think Busta Rhymes and Kid Cudi are at Bloomingdale's, in looking at, a Ralph Lauren dress, I believe it is. Yeah, I think Kid Cudi and Busta Rhymes are over there, in the Donna Karan of New York section, checking out the spring lineup. Pretty sure they're over there. All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get Brother Elijah up here on Zoom for me right quick. All right, Brother Elijah, what's on your mind?
Hey, good evening, big brother. B1 to you and the excellent broadcast. I'm not going to be long-winded tonight, but I'm going to definitely give you the Reader's Digest. And before I say what I need to say, big brother, you're more than welcome to G-check me at any given moment. I have nothing but respect for you, the broadcast, and the family. Brother, after listening to tonight's broadcast, this one was what did it. And I was thinking about it. I don't really have any questions, but I do have some comments. I have to say, fuck the American white man and fuck the American white woman. Okay? Fuck all those no good Sambos like that no good bastard.
Well, clean it up. Clean it up tonight now. We got children listening.
All right, I apologize. They can go all the no good bastards, Tom Joyner, Rolly the Potbelly Martin. Okay. Also all of them, Barack Butt Cheeks Obama. they can all go to straight hell. Rest in peace to our Queen Mother, all right, Viola Fletcher. Okay, I miss her. I wish she stood strong. She showed us how to be warriors, all right, after 100 years. But brother, I apologize for my language, but we're at that point. And I'm taking a point of what you said about Charlie Kirk. That devil bastard can go straight to hell. No more polite tones. I don't give a damn about his family. I don't give a damn about his wife, his children. He's a no good murderous bastard. And I just have this question, big brother, and I'm gonna land my plane with this one. After all these devil bastards did to us, who gives them the moral authority, all right, or the right to speak on anything we got going on? You create the situation, then turn around and criticize us why we're in the condition we're in. And that's my question, and I'm gonna land my plane with that one.
Well, to be totally honest with you, more than the past, I'm more concerned about the now.
Yes, sir.
Because I'm really more action oriented.
Yes, sir.
I'm very, very big about what we're going to do.
Yes, sir.
The first thing you do is the hardest thing, because it's taken a couple of decades for that, is to be on code. That is the first thing, is for all of us, or should I say enough of us, because that all of us thing is what held us up for so damn long. We just need enough of us. I told you all this decades ago, and it's still true today. Everybody in white society does not agree. You don't ever have, complete consensus. That doesn't happen.
Right.
What you have are individuals who are in the vanguard. They're at the head. They're the trendsetters. And everybody else follows after that.
Yes, sir.
That's what occurs. That's more important than anything else. The action part of it, not worrying about can you get everybody on the same page with you, that's a red herring.
Yes, sir.
If you don't have to, that's not really the goal. The goal is to have a consensus more important than where you've been.
Yes, sir.
It is more important than where you have been. It's more important than where you were at. That's the thing that they really don't want us to do. They really don't want us to sit down and say, okay, because let me think, things get deadly around the fire.
Yes, sir.
Nat Turner got the brothers around the fire and things pop off. Denmark Vesey gets you around the fire, things pop off. If you're in a prison, scariest thing for guards is to see a group of inmates talking and whispering. It's one thing if the inmates are talking and you can hear them. It's another thing when there's a group of them and they don't want to be heard.
Yes, sir.
Usually they loud and stuff because you ain't going nowhere. But if you plan on going somewhere, this conversation got to be on the hush hush. I want you all to have that attitude and that mindset. You want to honor people. You want to punish the bad folk and honor the good people. You need to pick up that action plan.
Yes, sir.
That one right there. Period. That one. Because let me tell you, everybody can complain about the NBA cats, bro.
Yes, sir.
Everybody can complain about the football cats. Okay, I guess that goes somewhere. But brother, I've seen way more ex-military dudes. They've had GI Bills, VA loans, some of them getting pensions. They got the disability hustle going. Damn a LeBron James. What about you, Vela? Damn a Kobe Bryant. We have this thing right here where I want folks to get motivated. I want folks to get motivated no matter where they are in this thing right here. You can't point to everybody else all the damn time.
Yes, sir.
Granted, it would be great if some of these other folk would do more, but by the same token, I'm also seeing folks squandering what they're getting or not using it. And that is fully within your power.
Yes, sir.
That's fully within your ability. And by and large, that's not happening. So I am much more concerned about that, to be totally honest.
Yes, sir.
That concerns me much more because I'm just really focused on what would change things. And from my perspective, what's happening is a lack of 2 or 3 people being serious. It's not about eating the whole damn elephant in one day. Think about this. I mean, I've been broadcasting, doing this almost 2 decades. And we've got some folk who are on code. They got some stuff going and they got some things happening in the movement. We're not going to talk about it here, but I would like to see more.
Yes.
Because we need more. You know, I mean, you got Elon trying to be a damn trillionaire. That's how serious the situation is.
Yes, sir.
That right there. So it's not about everybody, you know, being Larry Ellison or something, but we have a bunch of folks who are not applying everything and not doing everything that they can. And that's a bigger detriment. That's what leaves you in a powerless position right there. I should not be driving around Fort Hood, driving around Fort Bragg, and it's a bunch of black folk driving Dodge Chargers and ain't running nothing.
Right. Yes, sir.
That I shouldn't be seeing that ever. Ever.
Yes, sir.
I'll let you have the last word.
Hey, brother, correction what I was saying about that bastard Barack Butt Cheeks Obama. I meant to say from copying tonight's broadcast is Barack Bastard Obama. So pardon me. That man can go straight to hell, and I believe you and the family can agree with this. He was the last straw that broke the camel's back. He is the reason why we are in having delineation talks. He was the last straw.
Brother, if Barack Obama had actually done the right thing,
yes, sir,
you never would have had George Floyd.
Of course.
If Barack Obama had his chance with Trayvon Martin, he had his chance. If the Democrats had been a little more sensible, if he had taken the grievances instead of them saying, okay, his job is to avoid doing anything, if they had actually had him do something, they would have had another LBJ on their hands.
Yes, sir.
It would be another 50 years before we, would have been doing anything else. They gave up their entire futures. They're scrambling now. They got Trump in the White House trying to arrest everybody. And yeah, you are absolutely nail on the head. If they had seized that opportunity instead of saying, okay, he's here to get over on the niggas again. If they had not been so stupid and simple-minded, he could have actually at least done something, started moving something, and it would have gotten the needle. It would have at least stalled things a little longer because we would have something else that we're working on. And we would have said, well, things moving slow, but they moving. The thing was with him, and to be totally honest, it was the best thing that could have happened. By him just saying, damn you niggas. Basically, the waking up process that might have taken another 50 years, it happened in 5.
Yes, sir.
It happened in 5. So yeah, he got them through that election, but at the cost of their future.
Yes.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, Barack Obama got them through that election cycle. Yeah, you did. All it cost you was your futures. That's all you gave up. All right, let's see if we can get Brandy up here on Zoom right quick. Let me see if we can get Brandy up here. Hopefully Brandy didn't go running. There you go, Brandy. All right, Brandy, what's on your mind?
I'm sorry. Hey, time I come up here. I apologize. B1. I have 2 questions. Okay, hold on a second. If we get reparations, would that make our seed money, our capital seed money competitive? And is that the fear? Question mark.
No, that's a huge part right there. Look, black people, the real issue is black people having any uncontrolled access to capital. Not to a paycheck. Paycheck is just above broke. So if they got a minimum wage, they control worker wages. That is controlled at the federal level. So it's going to be limited what you can do. So you're already limited if your upward mobility is determined solely by your labor income. They already got that locked up. So what they really want to do is be able to control your ability to have access to investing capital. So this is beyond just disposable income. Your ability to be able to invest, because remember, the basis of business is control of the resources, natural resources, human resources. So if we can keep that from occurring, you've gone a long way towards keeping this group stagnated. right there by itself. So keeping you away from investment, the ability to have capital, that's the plan. That's everything.
Yeah, would it make it competitive in the market? And that's what they don't want because our dollar, we have the highest spending power.
Okay, well, first of all, people who are struggling, and you engineer this. I mean, you can do this anywhere. This is why they keep the third world like it is. People who are struggling are going to be fighting with each other because they can't get at the folks who are really doing anything. They're in gated communities. They're in skyscrapers. So you can't get at the folk who are really doing stuff. So you're fighting with each other because those are the only people you actually can get at. You're angry. You're frustrated. Those are the only folk you actually can get at. What terrifies people in power is that you will be angry and frustrated and you won't fight with each other. You're going to be like, oh, there's going to be a fight today. It's just not going to be with each other. It's going to be for each other. That's what they don't want happening. And there's always a few knuckleheads you can get in there who keep you all distracted. So there's what the real thing is concerned about. When if we give you enough money that you got some financial breathing room, you start seeing the world differently. You know, I take it from me, for example. I mean, I'm not telling you all because I'm perfect. I was a young man who squandered hundreds of thousands of dollars. That was a very scarring experience for me because I look back like, damn, what could I have done if I didn't do that? Sometimes you have to have that kind of experience and that wakes you up. The real issue, though, is that most black folk never get to a point where they do that. They lost a few $100s and that's it. So when you get your hands on some real money, if you're a serious person, what they're really worried about is you're going to get together with 2 or 3 other people. Let me give you a case, an example. Right now on YouTube and things like that, you know, you hear folks talking about real estate. What do they say? Get the money from your parents or get it from friends. They talk about, oh, I got together a group of investors. Who the hell is investors? Nigga, you work at the Frito-Lay factory with me. But he's white. Who are these investors you talking about? He's got some family or friends or whatever, and they don't have $1 million. Well, no, they got $50,000. He's got $100,000 in his annuity. Jeff Bezos. My parents got $250,000. Not $250 million, $250,000. So what I'm saying is they're worried that the problem is that your ability to have access to that is degrees of separation. Your degrees of separation in America are dictated by race. We are split. Our economic lines are split along racial lines. So you don't have access to the white folk who could be your, quote, investors. You'd have to sit up here and go to thousands of black folk to get $100 each. The white dudes can just go to 2 or 3 white folk and he's straight. Now he got it and he's ready to go. So I'm just saying, imagine if you had that ability. Oh, well, if you could do that, it's not going to be everybody, baby, but understand something. That's not what they're scared of. They're not scared it's going to be everybody. They're scared it's just going to be enough of you. That there'll be just enough for you who will put your pennies together. And what do you know? Now you're all a threat. White supremacy has survived because it has operated under one rule: snuff out the baby in its crib. You've experienced this your whole life, even though you're looking like, you know, Tisha Campbell over there. But you've experienced this your whole life that when they see you if you come to work with a new car, them folks like, ooh, how'd you afford that? Now, this white man might have a car cost 3 times as much as yours. He wants to know how you got you that. He's like, wait a minute now.
Don't worry about it.
We've all had, but we've all had that experience. We have all had that experience where they're like, hey, how'd you get that? How did you get this seat on this plane? How'd you get in VIP? Hey, how'd you get that seat at the restaurant? We've all had that experience. All of us. So what I'm saying is that why are they questioning like that when they have more than you? Because they are ultra sensitive to any change in your position. If you are not completely helpless, all the alarms start going off. Because there's no telling how far you'll get. So we let problems turn to forest fires. They stop you as soon as they see a match burning. They're like, wait a minute, who lit that match? I smell something. Okay, I don't see a match, but I smell. So at the slightest movement, they mobilize. And they've done this for centuries. So that's the society's cultural practice. They mobilize as soon as they detect a threat. And
I have one more
if you have the
question
ability to
for
do
you, Mr.
anything, the instant you even appear to be a threat, they mobilize. So they want to make sure you never get anything across the board. That's how sensitive they are to any changes in the status quo.
I have one more serious question for you, Mr. Black. Okay. One sec. Do we pay for Palantir? Because they have
short answer is yes.
Okay, even though they have 4 contracts with 4 different government agencies.
No, ma'am. Okay, Palantir I'm so glad you brought up Palantir. Because, by the way, I could have bought stock in Palantir 5 years ago, and I didn't. I want this phone right there. I told everybody about NVIDIA 4-5 years ago, and I was telling all of them I didn't buy a single share of stock. And I'm like, wow. Anyway, let me stop right here, folks. But anyway, because it's on Facebook when I talked about NVIDIA and AMD, and I'm like, I'll be damned, y'all. In any case, okay, Palantir got started because of the CIA. And I mean, the CIA has a venture capital fund, literally. The CIA literally has a venture capital fund, and it works similarly to DARPA. So just like the U.S. Defense Department has DARPA, well, the CIA has an arm of that, and it is literally a venture capital fund, and that is who Palantir went to.
Right.
That's who they went to, and that's how they got their startup money. So they literally got their startup money from the CIA. Literally. It's no secret.
Expanding everywhere.
It's no secret.
Everyone in our city.
Yeah, it's no secret. I mean, everybody knows this. Yes, CNBC and everything. It's no secret. I'm not, Jason, whose computer did you hack? He was on CNBC.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was watching something yesterday or early this morning, and I seen it, and he's like a warlord, or like, he's really, really serious about that. The man, Alex, whatever his name is.
Alex Karp. His name is Alex Karp. And he's got like a black, I think he's got a black mom and a white dad or something like that. And I'm like, but look, he's part of Peter Thiel's little group. Peter Thiel is all over the damn place. But no, I mean, Palantir, your tax dollars directly paid for Palantir. I didn't even know that the CIA had that fund. I didn't know until they told me. And then again, that's the way that works. But here's the thing though, ma'am. I didn't know. And you didn't know.
Nope, not until I watched
Peter Thiel knew. You and me are hearing about this 5 damn years later, and actually it's been more than 5 years, because Palantir has really been Peter Thiel's brainchild for the better part of a decade. You didn't know about that. I didn't know. I'm Jason Black. I didn't know about that. The general public didn't know about that. Peter Thiel knew.
Right.
And Alex Karp knew. You and me didn't know nothing. Now, if that's okay, but what I'm telling you though is that, by the way, that's the one that we found out about.
Right.
How many others are there that we don't know anything about?
Right. I learned about it really because I was paying attention to what's going on in the city of Denver. And there's a building here located. They just moved down here within the last few months. And the Palantir is here. And, so it's just a whole bunch of crazy things that, I looked into. But I was like, oh, no, not right here.
Listen to me, people. If you see a person with $1 billion in America, $1 billion cash, not no fake billionaire like Oprah Winfrey, you a billionaire on paper if I add up all your houses and your cats. No, if you got a cat who can lay his fingertips on $1 billion, he got 9 zeros behind his number in a bank account, that dude has a government connection contract somewhere. You can't get that kind of capital unless you do. Which is why they want to make sure we don't. They don't want you having a city government contract, much less a federal one. So if y'all want to know why they guard them so jealously, I'm telling you, you can't get them 9 zeros behind your number literally in the bank unless you got some government, unless you're connected to the government somehow. You can't get it. There's not enough in the private sector that's going to give you that.
Thank you, Mr. Black. You're always so intimidating when I come up here.
All right, thank you very much. Give us a call tonight. Yeah, look, y'all, you don't make it to the 9-figure club unless there's a government connection somewhere. And government isn't big and bloated and convoluted because it is required. They do that because that's how they hide all the money. The tax code isn't 12,000 pages because it needs to be 12,000 pages. The tax code is actually 2 pages. The other 11,998 are to hide all the money, hide all the loopholes, hide all the benefits for other folk. That's what the other 11,998 pages are for. So the federal government's budget is not bloated and crazy because by accident it's bloated and crazy on purpose so that nobody can find the money. When you got the Pentagon telling you, oops, we lost $500 billion. Don't know where it's at. I know exactly where that damn stuff is. Hey, y'all, I know where the $500 billion is. Boeing, Oshkosh, Raytheon, Laurel Hughes. I know where it's at. Let me see if we can get Sir up here on Zoom for me right quick. All right, Sir, what's on your mind?
Hey, thank you for taking my call, Mr. Black. Excellent call tonight. So I have a statement and then I have a question. So the statement is, I'm from Texas and I'm in my late 40s. And when we look at Tulsa, man, growing up, I didn't know anything about this until I was about 27.
Now, how can you have an American city, they drop bombs on it and dynamite, and none of your history books in school, nor your local black DJs, radio stations, or your HBCUs said anything about it?
Right. And I'm one state over, right, or under. But it wasn't until, the internet got really popping that, you started to get a lot of the real history, right? And then, so I heard a lot of stories, and I can't validate them and see how true they are. But I heard that one story that pins out in my mind is a lot of those people that were in Tulsa, they were sworn by paper not to talk about it. And if they were to talk about it, harm would be brought upon them and the rest of the survivors. And that's just one of, the many stories that I heard about it. And, being that I'm one state under and hadn't heard about it, I don't know how true it is, but it's just.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not going to say that folks weren't threatened or whatever, but I mean, everybody saw what happened and it wasn't like it just disappeared. It was in the newspaper and everything else. So I'm not really sure who said that, but I mean, it was in the newspaper and everything else. So it wasn't like it was swept under the rug or whatever. It wasn't like that was happening. They might have told them black folk, don't be thinking you're going to get paid or anything from it. But yeah, I'm not sure who said that, but I can tell you if they did, it didn't work.
Yeah. Well, and my question to you is like, I wanted to get your thoughts around karma. Black people are the only people out here talking about karma, right? And, when you see all of the bad that's been done towards us, is there a karma construct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It's called genetic memory.
Okay.
You are the karma.
Gotcha.
I need you all to understand that. Jason, do you believe in karma? I don't believe in it. I know it. Where is it? I'm talking to it. And so are you. You are the karma.
Our old folks, sometimes I can't talk to them, because they are, if you ask them that question, they're like, our blessing is in heaven.
Yeah, they're defeated.
This is not our home. That's actually what they say. This is not our home. I'm like, okay, so you're supposed to live this whole life and wait till you die?
That's called being defeated. They are defeated mentally, emotionally, spiritually. That's everybody got mad at me 2 decades ago when I said you got to watch these old niggas. I was telling you all then, they're not gonna be your backup, bruh. You ain't got no elderly backup. They have already been beaten and defeated. They were bought off with drugs, interracial sexual access, welfare checks, and a pension. They were bought, government jobs and a pension. They were bought off. And so you showing up trying to rally the troops of a bunch of old sloppy niggas who've been bought off. They are not your backup. They never were. They're the collaborators who got bought off. You came along later and ain't nobody offering you no pension, no GM job, all the benefits they got. Ain't nobody offering you nothing but ass whooping. That's why your response has been different. So they got bought off. Ain't nobody buying you off. So now you've been reset. You've been reset to factory default settings. And now you on something different. So my real thing is I don't want you talking to folk who can't do nothing for you. You need to rally with other people your age or even younger. You need to rally with them And not 5 or 10 of them, just 2 or 3 of y'all got your heads on straight. 2 or 3 of you with a decent credit score. 2 or 3 of you checking in every week. Hey, we supposed to be saving up money. If you ain't doing it, you got to get out of here. 2 or 3 of you doing that. That's it. I wish your parents had done it. I wish your grandparents had done it. That didn't happen. That's reality. If it's going to be, it starts with you. It's not going to be from the sky. It's not going to be from the old folk around you. The karma, the justice, the reconciliation, it's going to come from you. Just you.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks for taking my call, and I appreciate the broadcast tonight.
Thank you for giving us a call tonight. Folks, that's really what it is. Whatever it is you think the universe is lacking, is missing, it's what it is missing is coming from you. Whatever it is that the universe is not giving, that it is missing, the source that it's not coming from is you. And the moment that you make up your mind that you are going to fill that void, that if there isn't justice, you will, in the words of our immortal ancestor, Neely Fuller, you will produce justice. If the world does not produce justice for you, then you will produce justice for the world. Here's the problem to the agents of injustice. You need to take care of balancing the scales and bringing justice. You better not leave it up to us to bring karma, because you're not going to like it the way we do it. Barack Obama should have been about justice. At least the Democrats could have negotiated better if they had had him. At least you could have controlled the dissent. You better get on board and you better get right, because you see, if you leave it, if you don't do it, we're going to do it. If you don't produce justice, we will produce justice. And you're not going to like the way we do it. So we're doing you a favor. All this borrowed time you got, this is really doing you a favor. You're really being given a charity that now you know you're being given a chance to fix this yourself. Because if you don't, the children of Viola Fletcher will. And you won't like the way they do it. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. Before I do here, I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of my brothers and sisters who tuned in tonight. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to the program, to Keenan, Reparations Nation, and all the rest of you. Thank you very much for your support tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the haven of intelligent Black thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, some days in between. Click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in all these years. I want to thank all of you for tuning in for all of these years back when these topics were not even a discussion. Brothers and sisters, they are now front and center. Viola Fletcher never would have been a headline back in 1993, 1995. No one would have ever posted her face or her story. It is what you have done for the last 2 decades. You and me and us and we. We have changed the national discussion, but we're not done. We ain't really got started. But please understand, this wouldn't have ever been mentioned 30 years ago. They never would have said this. No one would have mentioned it anywhere. Not a newspaper, not a magazine article, maybe a local newspaper somewhere in Tulsa. No one would have said any of this. She would have been forgotten to history and antiquity, and Tom Joyner and the old bootlick media would have danced to it. We didn't let that happen. You didn't let that happen. We made a lot of progress, but we still got a ways to go. and we will do it in their name. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program, live or recorded. Thank you all for liking, subscribing, and sharing. This concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is Viola Fletcher.